So, good afternoon, welcome back. Now we'll start that second technical session. So in this I request Dr. Ranade, President IPSA, to chair the session, and Dr. R.C. Azare to co-chair the session. In this session we have 5 presentations. I will hand over podium to Dr. Ranade. Sir, please conduct 5 presentations.
Okay, thank you. Got it. Thank you. Myself and Dr. Hazare would try to conduct this session. But before that, in the last session, one speaker, Yusi Patel, he couldn't present because of the paucity of time. So we will take him first and then we will continue. Dr. Yusi Patel is working as consultant for last 27 years to Southeast Asia, Middle East, African animal industry, and of course, India as well. He is graduate in veterinary science with master's and doctorate in avian genetics, nutrition, and diseases. He has published many research papers on poultry science and human genetics. That is his hobby. He completed 3 certificate courses on feed technology and grain science at International Grains Program, Kansas State University, and attended 2 workshops on environment controlled housing and management at University of Georgia, USA. Actually, Yusi Patel is a very well-known name in Indian industry as well, and he is providing consultancy, help, and advice to many farmers in our country as well. He has also, basically done something on presented paper on molecular characterization of pathogens. He has got Young Scientist Fellowship from British Poultry Science. Then he's well versed with the international nutritional scenario, and he is member of WPSA Canada. Dr. Patel has active hobby to work on human genetics in collaboration with Geneva Medical School, Switzerland, and he is also active member of WPSA, PSA USA, and other institutions since last 27 years. Today he is going to talk on precision feeding of poultry to reduce feed cost. I would request Dr. Patel to start his presentation. Time as usual 25 minutes, 5 minutes for discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, respected senior chief guest, Dr. Ranjit Reddy Garu, Vice Chancellor Dr. Ravindra Reddy Garu, Director PDP, and my senior teachers, my colleagues, and my young friends, those who are students. The topic has been given like precision feeding. Precision feeding subject is like a PhD. I will show you some slides and you'll think that, okay, on this subject, I need to discuss more, but it's not possible in 25 minutes. But we'll go slide by slide and you understand that what we mean by precision feeding. This slide is been created by someone in 2000, and it is based on the WHO prediction, and this is the UN project that in 50 years we require almost double food for our human population. And it is not possible because our planet Earth is the same land and we cannot produce double feed. So what all are alternates we have to look at? The first thing we are talking about that, okay, what next? What next is either improve the production capacity, which cannot be possible to 100%. Second one is the improve the efficiency. Third one is like improve the precision in feeding system to minimize wastage. So we have to consider many factors. So based on this slide, this presentation starts. So now that in the morning we discussed, now we don't have corn, we don't have soybean meal, we have direct competition with human being and ethanol. And there is no way we can avoid that, because it's a multinational challenge, and that is priority of every government. So only alternative is that we have to go with that. By doing that, previously when we started our poultry business, we are working at 53% feed cost of total production cost, and now in 22 it's 80% plus. So now any saving in my feed is direct huge saving in my total business. It's a huge difference between 2005 and 22. If we talk about global feed production, just from 12 to 20, there is a 24% growth in 8 years. It's now 1188 million ton, which is the last figure available. Before 21 Corona, there is no figure. So this is the last one. And if we talk about the feed production by species in 21, Asia Pacific is the largest one. More than, this is by species, so poultry is the biggest. And if we talk about the monogastrics, almost 73% goes to the monogastric. Why I told about monogastrics? Because the monogastric consumes maximum corn and soybean meal and the alternate protein source. Here, where is the feed cost is the highest. If you include the aqua, that is another 5%. So then we say feed production by world region, then the biggest one is Asia Pacific, is almost 40% of the world. Americas is half of it, and if you ask for the South America, is even half, less than half. So this one is the very significant, because we are not the only producer. We are the less producer compared to Americas, but we are the highest consumer of the resources. And when Dr. Ranjit Garu told that we are not allowed to import, it's a big threat that how we are going to survive. 3 months back, when many clients asked me, I gave interview to some magazine, Feed Technology. They asked me what going to be the scenario this year. I said, this year is not soybean meal. It's going to be cereal. You won't find any cereal to feed the chicken or even aqua. And it's really happening. Now corn season is on. The April is the second season of corn. Corn price remains same. What will happen in August? There will be no corn, no bajra. Wheat is already out. We are starting exporting. Only broken rice. Broken rice will go to alcohol, ethanol. What will feed to the chicken? It's going to be great worry by August, September. So what we mean by precision feeding? Precision feeding is the supply of nutrient based on defined requirement by genetics of bird. There is nothing more than that precision, because this has been developed by genetics company, and that is the only way to go forward for efficiency. There is no way that nutritional efficiency has a major role. What is the nutrition role in overall? It's just 5%. It's all 90% genetics. I will show some slide that how the broiler evolved, how the layer bird evolved over the last 20 years, and what is the plan for next 20 years is only by genetics. Very little by nutrition. Yes, what the specification, the precision is keep changing, and there is a model to predict it. And based on that, we predict that what will be required to grow that fast. So this is most important example. You can see that it is from almost like, sorry, let me have my specs. From 1992, where we require almost 52 days plus for 5 pounds. Now in 18, if I talk about 22, we require not even 38, we require less than 35, maybe 34 days. At the same time, you can see the energy requirement of my bird goes down, it's not going up. All the way from 3000 to 2500 kilocalorie, 500 calorie less for 5 pound production. Why? It's all genetics. Number one, genetics means high feed conversion, fast growth rate, less requirement for maintenance. So whatever you are feeding is going for the meat, the lean meat, or maybe you can say the oral composition. This is just example. I give you a nutrient requirement for broilers. It's an average of multi-species. There are 2 major genetic groups in the world for the broilers, which are Avian and Co. They have multiple varieties like slow growing, average growing, fast growing, high yield, high breast yield. So there are so many varieties. So I just give you a range that how it looks like as a specs. These specs may be like up and down, 19-20, not big difference, but you have to feed based on the either you are going for processing, are you selling in a earning market, are you making loss, so you dilute the feed, you slow down the growth, so it keeps changing. But these are the standard ratios which are required. And very similar to the layer. If I give that 100 gram per bird a lay, what is the requirement of protein, the macrominerals, the sodium chloride, what are the amino acid requirement? They are pretty much fixed. You go any species, it's all same for layers. And it's just evolving because of the intake and the conversion. Because there is no change in lysine requirement by gram per gram of egg in last 50 years. That is the efficiency of bird. It's not going to change, it's pure genetics. Same gram of lysine is required to produce same gram of egg. It's all egg mass. You are producing 45 gram egg mass. Now you're producing 55 gram egg mass. Producing more egg mass require more lysine. So it's pretty much same and it's linear. There is a very nice paper has been analyzed by this Professor Bernard Kerr in Indra, and we know the Indra is involved in this precise nutrition because many of them knowing that even today energy prediction models are still belongs to the Indra France because they are the expert. So this professor has presented a very nice review of 42 research paper and a meta-analysis. So I will tell you that because it even holds true today. This is a model for the feed intake and it is been analysis from 42 different data sets. So what we know is that we know age, we know body weight, we know daily gain, we know what is feed consumption. That is requirement adjusted as per the formulation. Then what is the model? Is the calculated value we require for a daily intake if the bird grow fast. So this is the model comparison based on those data. For a 2 kilo of bird, the age to get 2.5 kilo from 56 days to the, I have to show here only, right? You cannot show that. 54 days to 2.5 kilo to 34 days, 32 days, and we have predicted up to 20 days for 2.5 kilo. I will show you what is the prediction, and we are pretty much on a plan because last 20 years, this paper is, I think, in somewhere 15, but last 20 years analysis is this, and we are gaining that every year on year. So what will be the impact on a feed intake? If you want to grow so fast, the feed intake that time was 50, you will be required 250 gram feed intake per day. So you need that kind of physiological capacity of bird to eat more, convert more, and it's happening. I will show you some data. So this is the predicted feed intake and digestible amino acid requirement if we are going to get 2.5 kilo in 20 days instead of 34 days, which is today. This is what lysine we are keeping around now 126. I just show you the table. If you want to go 2 kilo in 20 days, 2.5 kilo in 20 days, you require 1.6 digestible lysine. So it's all dense feed and strong physiology, the gut physiology to digest and gain. So with this evolution of broilers on past 20 years and predicted for next 20 years, the daily feed intake will go with the body weight, but then organ weight per body weight will not grow that fast. They are all in opposite direction. I will show you something. And this is the really difficult challenge. There is another nice paper from Franco. He is working for DuPont, and he sees the response that if you grow for a fast, more gain in less days, what will happen to the organs? So this is a jejunum, and he did some research on one group of aviagen, and they have multiple varieties. Rose 308, if I say, is like growing 2.5 days in 35 days. Rose 708 make growing 2.5 kilo in 32 days with more breast milk. So there is an example that at 49 days, 308 is 3768, 70 is 3642, and TY is 3732. The jejunum length of this bird is different and significantly different. 91 centimeter to 86 centimeter and to 81 centimeter. And if you see the jejunum, means gram body weight per the centimeter of jejunum is greatly increased with Rose TY. That means this bird genetically has adapted to digest better with smaller jejunum, because they all are efficient birds. So this is where they understand that yes, it's possible to grow fast and have efficiency. The another example, this is just opposite, is compare the heritage bird, which is slow growing bird. And if you see, the body weight is very less at 49 days. The diameter is much higher for the tibia. And if you see, the breaking stage is very low compared to the roast TY. So that doesn't mean that the thinner tibia is weaker tibia. No, because it has been selected for tibial, and because the higher body weight has to stand on that tibia every day. That light bird don't need that strong bone because they don't have weight to carry. So it's going is very important physiological changes happening, but it's all genetics. So we don't have this kind of statistic, but in America, everybody is a part of an agri-state independent organization where they give their data of their breeders, their nutrition, their broiler production, how much they grow, how much they process, what performance they are getting, what antibiotics they're using, what anticoccids they're using. This is called agri-state, and it's universal, and they publish to all the members, and you can know that what year on year going. And US industry is really following this. This is not something, this is industry standard. This is not somebody's standard. What they are predicting is that in 2034, 2.3 kg at 28.75 days. That is almost reduction is 0.56 days per year. Means faster and faster growth. This is just benefit of selecting broiler for faster growth rate and improve the feed efficiency. But sooner the broiler get to desired market size, higher the percentage of feed consumed goes to the lean mass instead of body maintenance. That's what I tell you, 500 kilocalorie less in last 20 years. But feed conversion decline as broiler grow higher and higher because the higher body weight require higher maintenance. Then there is another prediction for the calorie, which I just explained. If you see that 2.3 kg body will improve calorie conversion 15% from present. That is already, you can say, from another 500 calorie in next 10 years, 22 to 32, next 12 years. Livability also they have a target, and livability also improve at the rate of 5% every year. Even boneless breast milk, because that's what the market in America is going to be, also improved by 0.5% of live weight year on year. If you talk about layer industry, we talk about egg number because India is all number, but there is an egg mass. In an egg number, from 2000, we are 420 eggs at 100 weeks. Now in 2020-22, we are already 450 plus hatching eggs in 100 weeks. And they target that by 2036, it will be 550 eggs per 100 weeks. And we are already in between 2036 and 2000, and we are achieving as per this graph. So genetics is very much precise. Same thing if we talk about the feed per egg, that is egg mass per kilo of feed. We were 2.3 in 2000. Now we are 1.6, 1.7 in 2022. And the achievement they want is like 1.15 like broiler, 2036, 1.15 kilo feed per kilo egg. Remember, I told you we require double the production of the resources. If resources cannot be doubled, another way is that resources should be how to produce the same number of eggs. That's the only way forward. So what are the challenges in precise feeding? These are the universal challenges. Nobody can change. Crop genetics, like in India, we have how many kinds of corn, how many kinds of rice, how many kinds of ragi, bajra, wheat. They're not all same. They're not same for energy, it's not same for the proximity. So the variety exists, and you cannot change, because like we had a survey of corn analysis within Telangana, Karimnagar area, Jadchala area, Medchal area, and one area more in now it is Andhra Hanuman Junction. The corn quality varies by more than 5% in the nutritive value. 5% is huge. Within, I am talking about Andhra Telangana. Think about whole India. Another is environment and harvest. 1 year we are getting soya price so cheap, 35 rupees, because there is a very good rain right at the time, bumper crop across the world. There is no soya demand, prices are low. Next year, there is a bad rain in India, less production. Same time, bad seasons in Americas and South Americas. Now wartime, what will happen? There is no production of non-GMO soybean meal from Ukraine. The Indian soybean meal demand will increase. We are selling outside and we are not able to import. Price will go up. So environment and harvest, it affects both. Not on soybean meal, I just give example, but all the crops. Third important is storage and transport. Now in April, we are buying corn, 13-14 moisture and putting in silos. By the end of August, it will be less than 10% moisture. That is the effect of storage on corn. It's very significant. If you are storing yourself, then you understand. But if you are buying from outside, you have to consider every truckload you are buying. And the last one is processing. We do a processing of all oil seeds to get the byproduct of oil and oil meals or de-oil cakes. And this processing has a great impact on availability of nutrient from those oil seeds. Let's see some example. So now, as I told you, the status is shifting from not ingredient, it is supply and demand of nutrient to nutrient. When you talk about the ingredient quality by precision. Just for example, when we talk about alternate protein source, let's understand what world produce. Protein meal consumption of the world is 70% soybean. Only 12% rapeseed. That too not us. It's more about Australia and Canada and America. Sunflower is just 6%. Cottonseed is just 5%. Peanut meal, which we produce a lot in India, is just 2% of total world consumption. So still soya is number one. If you consider meal used by livestock, and if you go to poultry, again 61% is consumed as soybean meal for the poultry. Rest 19-20% is for swine, dairy 10, and other species less than 5%. So soya meal consumed by poultry and swine, that is monogastric at most. But look at the variation. This is what I talk about. The genetics, the climate, the rainfall, the fertilizer conditions, all that affect this. These measures, like I think line major supplier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 major big supplier of the world. Big like Bunge, ADM, all those Cargill. Big supplier of the plant, soybean meal. Same supplier, supplying over the months, over last 5 years. You can see the variation in protein. And you can see the variation between the suppliers. So even if supplier is same, you cannot predict that what going to be the next truckload. You have to be precise using your different QC standards to check the soybean meal and reformulate. That's where the saving is. Either you are under nutrient or either you do over nutrient if you don't change it. That's why it's very important. It's not only one ingredient. If you talk about corn in India, I'm talking about. Last year, corn from Karnataka was 7.7 protein. At the same time, corn in Bihar was 9.5% protein. Within India. This is the world average I'm talking about. 7 to 9. 30% variation in protein content of corn. Compared to that, DDGS is less variable, but still there is a variation. So do we waste nutrient? Yes, we waste nutrient. One way is that either you don't consider the precision in QC and reformulate. The another way is still they have a lot of NSPs, oligosaccharides, and nutritional factors, which are not available for the poultry because of the physiology of monogastrics. And that the typical pig and poultry diet, which is 70% cereals and almost 25% protein meals, with digestibility of 75 to 85, we are still losing 15 to 25 in liter. And there is a chance to improve here. Not 100%, at least 10% of it. So if you talk about the 10% of that global production, and if you save 10% of that undigested material, still it is 30 million metric ton for the world. That is the part of the cake which we want to save for the future. In general, if you talk, in grains, undigestible material of starch is 2 to 8, but at the same time, protein is undigestible by 20 to 30%. And fiber is almost 70 to 100% undigested. If you talk about legume, starch in legume is the biggest problem and it is not digestible. I will explain. Same for protein, 20 to 25, and fiber again 70 plus. So what are the proven solutions to such challenges? PDP and Dr. S. V. Ramarau's Research Institute Ramaduta is doing so many research on this part to improve that. How can we gain from that undigestible material? And the portion available is almost like more than 10%. So one is like oil seed processing while removing oil is the destruction of some anti-nutrition factor. I will show you some example. It is same for almost all. Then the feed additive, like enzymes to degrade the NSPs and anti-nutrition factor, then the fat emulsifiers. Then also feed processing. I will show you feed slide that how feed processing can improve the digestibility of ingredient, and that comes the part of physiology and gut physiology and gut health. So if you assume 10%, we are expected to say 30 million metric ton. Just an example, what are the common protein meals we are using? Is soybean, canola, cottonseed, sunflower, and pea. Pea means groundnuts. And this is the average amino acid, and there is one anti-nutrition factor main of each ingredient is there, and we have to take care of these. Otherwise, it will have a negative effect. But just for example, we do a lot of QC on soybean meal when we receive it. We do QC for proximate. We do QC for the first one is urease index, then KOH solubility, then protein solubility, then trypsin inhibitor, and many times the dye binding. This is just to check whether it is properly toasted or not. It has been studied that urease activity, if it is, previous standard was 0.3 and soya has been used as 30% plus. At this level, it creates severe problem of diarrhea and gut motility. Now, new standard of urease activity requirement is less than 0.1. So it has been improved a lot, and these are the QC parameter. If you don't consider in soybean meal, this will also affect your precision nutrition feeding, because all those standard of breed you cannot achieve if you don't know your ingredients. Just for example, soya seed of the worlds by protein percentage, they are different. For oil, they are different. Even for protein quality with the 5 amino acids, they are not same. Oil quality also not same. This is all because of 4 factors I explained at the beginning. And same is for soybean meal. Just an example, this is the solvent extracted DL soybean meal. This is with the hull. This is with the adulteration for foreign materials. And this is over toasted or burnt soybean meal, which is of no use. Same thing for canola meal. It's like either solvent extracted canola meal also impacted by environment, harvest, cultivar, and processing. Canada standards are different, Australia standards are different, Ukraine standard, India standard, all are different. Similar thing for DDGS, you can see from 12.5% oil to the 6.5% oil. Different processors produce different level of DDGS. So here is the key comparison I want to explain. By gross energy, corn is 3770, soybean meal is 4220, and corn DDGS is 4998, almost 5000. But when you talk about metabolized energy for a chicken or a poultry, corn is 3430, soybean is 2440, and DDGS just 2300. So the availability or digestibility of starch from this raw material for a chicken is not happening. That's why the metabolized energy compared to gross energy is very less. And here is the chance where you can use different ways to improve an availability of energy. So what is that? What is that? Why SBM is like 50% compared to corn and wheat? That is because it has these oligosaccharides from the raffinose series. We call it galactans. The galactans cannot be digested by monogastrics because they don't have alpha galactosidase endemic. These are just different levels of different meals, raffinose, statues, because all are called galactans. And they are having a negative effect because if they are not digested, they go to the hind gut up to ceca, they get fermented by bacteria, and then it produces all volatile fatty acid effect, which is ideal climate for the clostridial development. We have one enzyme which is synthetically available from a reputed company, which has a capacity to degrade this alpha galactan, that is called alpha galactosidase. And there are very nice research at the PDP on proving this effect of alpha galactosidase and improving it. Another big anti-nutrition factor is mannans. Those links of mannans with the D-mannose, like galactomannan, glucomannan, or galactoglucomannan, they also having a negative effect by binding all key sites of digestive surfaces. And if you see the beta-mannan level is quite high, even common ingredient in soybean meals, almost like 1.5 to 2%. Canola is extremely high. Other alternates like copra, palm, guar is very, very high. Fortunately, we also have a solution for that, and that is called enzyme beta-mannanase. It's invented almost like 25 years back, holded as a patent by Cargill for more than 20 years. Now it's available everywhere. Third important, when we talk about this, how can we forget protein? Protein digestibility is not 100%. That is a basic reason because the endemic protease in a chicken is not produced as early as by 21 days at the full potential. So you cannot digest the protein if you give like, that's why we give higher protein and consider less digestibility. This is very, very important side. Three ingredients different by their digestibility at same age, like DDGS is like from 60%, corn 73%, SBM 87% at 5 days age, and also at 21 days, 65, 86, and 89. So all the ingredients vary in their digestibility, not by ingredient itself, but also by the age of birth. This precision data is not available 100%. More and more data available, and that's why today Dr. Asirama Garu published the book, which is very important reference book for the Indian industry. This is what is required because people really don't know the exact figures. Fine. All right. So the protease also can improve the digestibility of various protein meal, and that is already also 3 to 7%. The last one is the phytate, which is also a key anti-nutrition factor, has been studied extensively since 30 years. And now we know how to destroy the phytate and make available to the chicken as a phosphorus. Meat and animal protein also has a problem similar to the digestibility, but the more problem is that they're also contaminated with salmonella and mad cow disease or BSE, and they are also source of heavy metals and acids. So how can we save this 10% using this combination of different enzymes? And if you consider like normal diet, as explained per Indian market, the 5 key enzymes required to degrade all those NSPs and anti-nutrition factor to gain, and we can gain up to like 100 calories per diet, almost like 1% protein, around 0.17 available phosphorus and calcium, and around 5 to 7% of digestible amino acid if you use all together in a correct combination, which you can save like 4% of your feed cost, which is huge at the rate. If you don't consider this, what will happen? Okay, we think that enzymes were not there. This is what happened. If you don't have antibiotic growth promoter, what is the demand now? The all kind of problem starts with the dysbacteriosis and necrotic enteritis, coccidiosis, and the performance goes bad. For that, we also have some extra gut potentiators and also inert fiber to improve that gut health other than the enzymes. Last is the feed texture. Very important thing. This is what is the gizzard. Gizzard is the pacemaker, not the heart here. Gizzard is a pacemaker for the poultry to digest the nutrients. If gizzard is strong, it will create all peristalsis perfect for the digestion. This is the example. On the right side with the big proventriculus and big gizzard is where the particle size is very minimal compared to the left side where the gizzard is big and proventriculus small. Quickly, what is that? If we did a trial, this is my one friend in North Carolina, he did a trial, and now he's a vice president in New Hope, the biggest company, feed company, competing CP. He did a trial and he made a corn to grind coarse, an average particle size of 1200 from the 227. And then he made a feed which has a higher particle size, almost like 650 compared to the 400. And this is what the performance improvement. Nothing else, just the effect of having a better gizzard by manipulating coarse corn. Look at the performance improvement in body weight, in FCR, in gizzard to proventriculus ratio, in digestive pH, in nitrogen retention, energy retention. Of course, pellet quality also has a role because it increased the resting time and reduced the feeding frequency. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Patel. Any specific questions? Rather a precise question for the topic on precise nutrition. Yeah.
Sir.
We are predicting that by maybe another 2 years, we are going to increase the body weight up 2.3 kg by 29 days. What will happen to the feed conversion ratio? Feed
20. Feed conversion ratio, we are predicting 1.05.
That means you are reaching the target of 1:1.
Yes.
Is it possible?
Yes. It's very much possible.
Then another question, second thing is, you are telling that by increasing the length of the small intestinal duodenum, jejunum, particularly, your nutrient, particularly the absorption will be more. What will happen to the gastrointestinal tract of the nutrient? If you are retaining the nutrient for more times, whether does it have any influence on its growth, any bad influence?
Yes, better digestibility, more nutrient if we have a longer gut.
That means you want to
Longer or a bigger
gastrointestinal retention of the nutrients should be
more. The one example I have given, the inert fiber, the insoluble fiber we are giving, which reduce the feed passage. By reducing feed passage, you making them available for digestion for a longer time, which is required.
Okay. Yes, please.
Will it impact the size of nearby organs of the bird?
We are talking about the jejunum. I just give one example because that is where the most enzyme get mixed in peristalsis between gizzard and jejunum, duodenum and jejunum, and then it goes. But for the ceca, and that is fermented digestion. So these are, we look after up to jejunum, duodenum and jejunum.
Okay. Will it impact the size, like vital organs? Size of vital organ will be affected?
Of course, yes, vital organ. That's why we slow down our genetic growth 10 years back. I didn't show that slide. We are very fast on that, and then SIT started because we grow fast and the heart and lungs capacity they were developed. So then we slow down, they reverse the genetics, and now we are starting with genetics, and we are considering all organs to grow bigger as per the requirement, or otherwise at least they have a capacity to digest better than previous genetics.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation, excellent work.
Thank
My
you, sir.
compliments to you. But as my predecessor has asked, what will happen to the other organs, whether they will be coping up with the pressure that they are going to get, whether it is heart or lungs, what will happen to the skeletal structure?
So
And
far,
then-
sir.
Then skeletal structure, let me finish.
Yes.
End of the day, what will be the quality of the meat also? The meat, animal slaughtered in just 28 days or 23 days, and compared to an animal which is slaughtered at 41 days, what will be the quality of the meat? And then what will be the acceptability? Okay, if you go on linearly increasing your feed efficiency, what will it, 20 years back, what has happened in the broiler industry, same thing we will be facing if you go on with the increasing the body weight in future also. Do you have any such studies on that?
Yes, yes. So see, most genetics companies, they are always running their project 5 years advance and they never declare. So with my personal communication, I understand is that whatever they are predicted for 32, 34, they are getting that. And now, I didn't show those slides. In last 10 years, we are talking about 2.3, 2.4 kilo. They are talking about 4 kilos with the same meat quality. We are not growing here those birds, those genetics. We have different genetics. But the world market where they are going fast, bigger, more efficient, they are already there with the same meat quality, with the no effect on leg quality, more better liability of broiler chicks at the up to the end, more processing yield. Only thing I told you, the slowing down research is only on intestinal size. That is where they are not coping up. Otherwise, all organs now they are taking care, except those intestinal parts. That's why I show you that slide, because there we are slow compared to the required.
Yeah, Dr. Patel, very interesting topic. I am sure some of the questions
May I
are
ask
still
one
unanswered.
question?
One.
No, what I request is
One more, sir. One more. Last. Finish. Let him finish.
Sorry to take the time, sir, but every time we hear that gizzard development will be better when we move towards a coarser feed particle size. Now, my question is how much coarser we can go when we have a challenge of getting, let's say, at 35 days, 1.5 FCR with attaining 2 kg body weight. So how much coarser we can go and what is the limit?
Limit is 800 micron. Means in between 600 to 700 is the ideal, but maximum is 800 when you are going for finished diet.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Thank
Dr.
you, sir.
Patel. If there are any more questions, he is available. You can always interact with him and get your doubts clarified. Now let's go ahead because now the afternoon session starts. Dr. Patel was from the previous session, and there is a little change in the schedule. First, I would request Shri Suresh Radu to give a presentation, and his topic is about the branding and retail marketing of eggs and meat. In fact, Suresh Raidu doesn't need much of an introduction. As we all know, he leads the Srinivasa Farms, a dominant force in the Indian poultry industry, and it is recognized as one of the builders of the Indian poultry industry in the last 50 years. Personally, Dr. Suresh Raidu has done Bachelor in Computer Science Engineering from Bangalore, then Masters in Business Administration from USA, and President's Program from Harvard Business School, USA. And he has a lot of other professional affiliations and memberships of various boards, but more so his work in India with respect to leading the Srinivasa Group and being the chairman and vice chairman of International Egg Commission, vice chairman from 2017 to 19, and chairman of International Egg Commission from 2019 is something which is we are well aware of and we are proud of it. So, Mr. Raidu, stage is yours for the talk.
Thank you, Dr. Ranade, and thanks for making me a doctor. Not yet, hopefully someday. Working on it, but not yet, as I said. Thinking of it, because people are calling me doctor anyway, so I said I'm getting some hints. Thank you very much for that. I think I had two presentations, and there's a lot I want to say, but I think I'll stick to my subject. But just one thing, somebody was asking, we have already gotten 1.19 FCR in open houses in Hyderabad, just for 2 kg body weight. So this is, I think, to set up how the world has been, as it's been developing and moving, and how the whole maturity of food demand goes. Right, so we are at now probably at second stage, going on to the third stage, which is on processing. So, which is changing demographics, younger population, increase in disposable incomes, and I think more knowledge as people are getting richer, whatever it is, right? I mean, the knowledge of what they're eating, because I can remember some 15 years back, my driver, the 2 rupee rice was important for them. Today, they don't eat it. They're not, for the children, they say, no, my children are not eating that, sir. So they take it, but mostly I think sometimes they sell it to us, or make idlis or something, but they're not eating anymore. That was interesting because I was observing what was that guy, how are their houses working today. And I think now knowledge has increased. I think COVID, although initially the industry was hit very badly, but has been the best advertisement in many ways, because I think egg consumption, according to government statistics, has gone up 20% in the 2 years, which is, I think, the fastest ever, if I'm not wrong. So again, eggs, somebody gave me a very interesting this thing. It is after mother's milk, it is the best natural food available for humans, right? And that's what an egg is. It is the closest profile to mother's milk is actually, as a natural food, it is chicken egg, not even milk. And practically, if you see, one egg is nutritionally has the same impact as one glass of milk. So that's what it is. Now, of course, now there are differentiated eggs coming, which is, more vitamin enhanced, like D3 and then certain other omega fatty acids, lutins, zeaxanthin, and all that, which are designer. I think market for that will come in India, but not right now. I think D3 is probably ready. We could probably look at it. So this is what I have initiated as the chair of International Egg Commission, which is from this year. I just came back from the launch of this summit we had in France, which is to double the global egg consumption in the next 10 years. Actually, for me, the thing is, I am more interested in India, right? But then the point is, because of the politics in the industry and all that, I'm not able to do stuff here. So I said, what can I do? I said, globally karega to fir India bhi aa jayega usko. So let me work on the global number. And so it was kind of interesting. The English and the British and all, they are eating about 200 eggs. They never thought, for them it was 365 eggs or egg a day is impossible. But then, my own journey in the last 3 years, where, I don't know how many of you must have seen me, maybe not the youngsters here, but where I lost 30 kilos. And the eggs have been very important element of that. And 4 eggs a day is what helped me a lot in getting my weight down. Not only weight down, my triglycerides, my HDL, anything, any parameter you talk about is brilliant. And that's what, and when I started talking to them about that, now they are like, then why is even why are we talking of 1 egg? Maybe the limit is more. And that's what some of those things we are pushing now, and they are working on it. So in US now, they've developed a roti only with egg white. And so literally no carbs. So there are a lot of those ideas coming. So these are some things that, the first 1,000 days is most critical window to shape a child's development. That's the most. This is a study done in Ecuador, and they have seen that if an egg a day is given, say probably from the 4th month onwards, for the first 1,000 days, then those children are, their growth is much better. And especially when you consider in India, 55 to 60% of our children are malnourished. I think government has done a brilliant job of taking care of hunger. I don't think hunger is an issue in India, like how at least somebody born in 70s and reading newspapers when Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister, what is happening in Orissa and all that. We don't have those cases anymore, right? It's rare, maybe he was a drug addict or something, or father was an idiot or something like that. You hear something like that, but it is not anymore a case where people are going hungry now. That they are getting. But the point is, the question is, are they eating right? I think that is where the problem for expectant mothers are. 50% of our mothers are malnourished. Naturally, the children born are also going to be bad. And some of those issues are what you don't get from your mother, that nutrition can never be filled. That was what was shocking for me when I first found out that, those children can never make it. They'll become fat and all that, but not, healthy. I think that's the critical thing. So I think, so these are some of the things I've spoken about. So these are some of the initiatives that we are looking at, right? Switch it up. So help consumers expand beyond the basics by inspiring them to make a wider variety of exciting egg-based dishes. and talking about the functional and nutritional health and natural health and how this helps. So I think one thing I have discovered in my own journey is that are there any human doctors here? No, right? I mean, but I heard that there is no subject on nutrition for them. It is just a lecture. Globally, that's what I heard, which was kind of amazing and shocking. And those fellows are now telling us what to eat, you know, and that's the problem, because they are reading the same newspaper headline you are reading and reacting. And for me, I mean, lockdown was helpful because, you know, there was nothing to do, you know, maybe some calls morning, evening, but other than that, nothing. So I started reading. I read about 20 books on nutrition and got myself educated. And then the first thing I found out is the world's health completely got screwed the day they said, don't eat saturated fat. That is when obesity exploded around the globe. So today, I don't worry about ghee, egg yellows and all that, right? I mean, I'm eating, I've asked my father to eat. His health has improved at 90, close to 90. His health has started improving. His mental capacity has started improving. For me, of course, it's completely different. Like one of my friends in my office lost 40 kilos in a year. So simple thing I told him, bhook laga, eat an anda. That's it. So he eats 4 or 5 eggs a day. He's lost. We got him tested. Brilliant. One of my managers in office, 20 years, sir, insulin is diabetic. He's come off insulin now. I mean, he reduced his insulin big time, following me, you know, doing certain things. But certain things he was still struggling with. 5 days we went to Chhattisgarh and Calcutta with me. So sitting next to me, I was showing him how to eat. After he came back, within 1 month, his doctor said, no more insulin need. Sir, Adi, this is what people see. I lost 28 kilos before I started exercising. I keep telling you that, but you keep repeating I'm doing exercise. You know, I lost 28 kilos of the 33 kilos before I started even 1 kilometer of exercise. So you can never outrun a bad diet. Please remember that. No, you can never out-exercise a bad diet unless you are going to operate like Michael Phelps, who used to swim, say, 8-9 hours a day. That I'm not doing that. I can't, not every day, right? I mean, maybe once, okay, I went 200 kilometers, whatever, cycling. But cycling is very easy compared to running. 200 kilometers of cycling is same as some 20 kilometers of running. I'm telling you, 20 kilometers of running is impossible for me, but 200 kilometers of cycling I can do. So there are pluses and minuses, but I think, but we keep, you know, getting fooled thinking that exercise is definitely good. Don't let me tell you, exercise is good, but not necessary. That's the point I want you to get. And that's where I think chicken, eggs become very, very important. And so that's what, as I said, so we are developing snacking, developing a lot of snacking things. Like, as I said, these guys in US launched their roti with only egg white. So they can, now they're making wraps with it and all that. They're not able to make enough. They're selling out like crazy. Every week, I think they're adding 200 stores, and the demand for the product is like amazing. And I make a bread at home only with egg whites. Okay, it's not exactly like bread, but it's quite good. You know, it's quite good because there's no carbs in it, right? I mean, that's the whole game. So, and many things like that. You know, we have made something like Fryams. You know, those cheese Cheetos that children eat. We are working on that, making something like, again, with eggs. Easier prep, sustainability. I don't know how many of you know, of all the animals protein, eggs are the most sustainable. And that's the other area where we have taken on by 2050 will become net zero. And I don't know, again, you know, 60-70% of our problem is emissions are from feed, not in the farm. 20% is because of the litter. Litter, again, we have 2 plants now where we are generating the biogas out of litter. We are intending to work more on them. I've invested in a company where the methane is being converted back into protein for animals. So again, that is something we are looking at as an alternate. It's a designer protein. You know, whatever UC says, we'll design that exactly like that. No more, you know, lysine fortification, no, nothing. We can design it like that. They've done it at an experimental stage. It is there. Now some people are investing. So again, I have a meeting with some Dutch, this thing, end of the month. That's something we're looking at. And worms, of course, that's something again. So this is what Canada is. Canada is one interesting country. In the last 10 years, they've increased their consumption by 50%. So as a developing country, this is the, it's a great example, because see, they're already at a certain number, but they have managed to increase. Now their point is they want to become the first developed country in the world to hit 1 egg a day. Because if you see, which is the country which is at 1 egg a day? Mexico, 380 eggs. Japan is about 340, 345. Colombia has come to 334, 340. They were, I think, 20, 25 years back, they were less than 100 eggs. So these are some people that, so this is it. So they do a brilliant program of, so they said the most important thing is they have to have the license from the customer, right? So they do, if you go on the Twitter and all that, you see they have interviews with farmers. Like every major festival in malls and all that, the farmers go with the children and all that, give eggs. They show them, they invite people to the farms. And again, sir, it's mostly cages. Canada is mostly cages. I think 95% is cages, and they have no intention of changing that. So public trust, as I said, and adapt to changing societal expectations, and also manage that conversation. I think that was one of the problem in Europe. What happened is the industry and the government on the policy making complete disconnect. The government doesn't listen to the industry at all. So for them, actually, what has become is I have become a savior now, because when I am fighting for the rest of the world, in a way, I'm fighting for them also. Otherwise, they were going to ban a lot of things, so which we were able to change. So again, engage with consumers on these things: food safety, climate change, animal welfare, so they've been able to communicate and educate the farmers on animal welfare and how cages. And what is the real animal welfare issue? There are some people who still shout, but mostly there is no the resistance for them to go cage free and all that. They're going to enhanced cages. So again, they continue to deliver safe, high quality. So they have their own egg quality assurance. I think you can see here. They have developed that, and then all farmers sign up for that. And it's put on every bag, right? Tim Hortons is a very big restaurant chain, so they use the branding, right? This is an industry's branding, not one company's. This is the entire industry. Egg Farmers of Canada is the group, and so everything is controlled there. If you want to start a new farm, you have to buy a license from them. It is costlier than actually setting up the farm, but then profits are guaranteed. Government allows them to do that, but price is not decided by the farmer, it is decided by an auditor, a third part like E&Y or PwC. They decide based on feed costs and all that, what will be the price the farmer will get, which maintains them a minimum this thing. And as I said, they contribute to it, and when there is excess production, then they subsidize the processing guys. And to keep Americans happy, they buy a little bit, 5-6% every year from them. So yeah. So again, this is what they've invested in. They've done a brilliant job, on communicating why eggs are important, and how eggs are a low impact source of protein. And so this was interesting. I mean, in some ways, actually, even we have achieved these results. Maybe not 72%, but this is true for India also. We are using less energy, 50% improvement in production per hen. This is over the last 30 years. Right. So today in India, we have genetics where we are producing more with less. And that's also coming in now. As I said, in broilers, we got 1.1 FCR last November in an open house. In 30 days, 2 kgs bird. So I think opportunities and challenges in retailing, you guys all know Licious. You've all heard about how they have. It's quite kind of interesting. 450 crores turnover, 350 crores loss. And also somebody was recently asking me, in a CII meeting we were discussing. So who's the most important one? The one who's producing the food, or the one who's making the food, which is restaurants, or the one who's delivering that food to you? Right now, seems like the guy delivering the food is the most important, because his value is more than us and the restaurants, right? I mean, if you look at Licious, I mean, they talk about everything. I supply the chicken to them. So, but the point is, but in the end, what is their value and what is my value? Right? So, but then this is the new age, and that's what I think you need to learn how to do that. But that's also interesting because it's developing, and every time there is COVID or bird flu, Dr. Garu, their business goes up. It is pointing to something, which is what we have to learn. Consumers are, it's not that they don't want to eat chicken or eggs, but they are scared when these news comes, and then they're looking for somebody who can assure them that our product is safe. I think that is where it is important for us as an industry. Either as an industry, if we do it, then we will become like Canada and everybody will grow. Otherwise, some guys, hopefully including me, we will become bigger and the small guys will grow. So I think that is the critical challenge for the industry and people to decide. So I think right now there are many online platforms, but typically in the startup ecosystem, what happens is one winner takes all. Like you say, you have only one Google now. More or less, Amazon is the retail giant around the world. So that is the danger that is going to happen. And unless, Indian government is taking certain steps to make sure that doesn't happen. But nobody knows, right? I mean, nobody knows the future. So we don't know how that is going to happen. Then unless we as the producers come together, industry, producers, academia, all of us come together and work together on this, with ultimately worrying about the consumer and the environment. You can't ignore those things. You have to make sure that all these three, four things are taken care of. And I think that's why I like the Canadian model a little, where the farmer is taken care of, consumer is taken care of. They make sure the consumer gets a good price and the farmer is getting a good price, and the middleman can't fool around there. And they do that, and they control, and government allows that, because as I said, the price is not declared by the producer. It is declared by a third party neutral person. So I think that's one model. So yeah, we need dry processing facilities, I think storage infrastructure, especially for chicken, and transportation infrastructure. One thing is, yes, in India, I personally would never encourage eggs in cold storage, because I don't think that's a very smart thing to do. But I think through methods and all that, I think you can definitely produce clean eggs. I don't know how. Do I have time, sir? Okay, then I'm doing good. So these are some of the value-added products, as we said: egg powder, liquid, egg strips. So I just this American company was telling us that they're making noodles now, almost completely with egg only. I mean, 90% is egg. So if you look at these things coming up, we have made chips with eggs. As I said, made the Cheetos and all that. So if these things come out, products like these come out, and where we start replacing your potato chips and all that, then I don't know, even 5 eggs a day, I don't think is a limit. But that's how it is. Nobody will eat as boiled eggs. Believe me, I eat 4 or 5 boiled eggs. I don't even think about it. Everything else I'm thinking about taste, but those things I don't think. My son eats 20 eggs. And he says, Dad, I'll go 40 if you can help me eat them. He says, eating 20 boiled eggs a day is the most boring thing. Because 5 itself is boring. Now imagine 20. Now, some of you must be thinking, is that guy mad? Why is he, what? But then he says, people don't get it. He wants, so if you see him, he's a little taller than me, and, lifts weights and all that. And, he's very careful about his body. So his target is he needs about 250 grams of protein a day. Right? So these 20 eggs is only 75 grams of protein. I mean, 5 whole eggs and 15 white seeds. That's only 75 grams of protein. So he says, I need more. The reason I'm not able to is because it's boring. I can't eat, give me like a shake or something, where I can just glug it down. Then I says, I'll get to 40. And that is what it is. How much is PV Sindhu eating? How much was Rana eating for our Prabhas, for Bahubali, when they were eating 40 eggs a day. And that's how that health happens. I mean, of course, if you are a running person or something, then you need some carbs. But for most people, that is the thing. So egg patties, sausages, salami, and nuggets. Of course, these are things you know. Retort meat. We had, and also I think apna NRC made brilliant halim balls. Too good. And things like this, you know, I mean, they are coming and they'll come. And I think as we are upping our this thing, like last 2 years, I would say processed market has grown at least 50% in after COVID and all that. And people are asking more and more for that and options like that. Okay, I think we need help in developing infrastructure to develop products from government side. If you see, that is where in Europe, Australia, or anywhere else, and the subsidies we get to do this and the support we get is immense, and especially from universities and all that, which is what I think is where we need to up our game. Believe me, if you can do Indian flavors, that can itself be in next 10 years $1 trillion opportunity for us. It is going to be. You know, I went to Oman. They said if you can make chicken kebabs and all that, all those things, and send. They want to take 5 tons every day. They're saying guaranteeing not 20 tons. Sorry, they'll take a container a day, and that's like, you know, if you see, Brazil is sending close to half of India's production to Middle East every year. So that's an opportunity for us. But instead of sending raw chicken, what they love is, you know, our samosas, our kebabs and all that. If you put chicken and eggs and all that and do, they're ready to buy. You'll get a higher price, because you can't compete with Brazil on price, because their feed is 50% cheaper than yours. You know, and in India, minimum support price is not going anywhere. That can't go unless somebody wants to lose the election next time. Then they'll probably do some dumb thing like that, and that's our reality. So I think greater collaboration between industry, government, academia. There is definitely certain movement happening. They've allowed us to import, you know, soya bean and all that. Now it's a good move. I think they should allow us to go for GM crops. It's foolishness. The world has been eating for 40 years. Americans have been eating, Europeans have been eating, Japanese have been eating. Nobody grew a second head or 4 hands. And that is what they scare us, na? So doctors, वही तो डराते हैं ना कि GM से कुछ ऐसा ही ऐसी होगा ना. But nobody has grown a second head, no? So far, I have not heard of it. Or anybody with 4 hands. I mean, ठीक है, Bhagwan Vishnu and all that was a different time. God knows what they were eating. But it didn't happen since GM was there. So I think it's foolishness on our part, on our government's part, to not allow that. So they're listening at least now. So they have told me to please make opinion, generate opinion around the country, and so we did a conference a couple of weeks back. Got pretty good this thing, but we need to do more. So with that, any questions? No, absolutely. Thank you.
Processed food seems to be far away for us. Do you have any immediate plans for promoting the raw eggs, or like probably some increasing the value and improving the reaching the consumer, something like that?
So processing,
I feel that this grading of eggs and telling the nutritive value of the eggs to the consumer will give us immediate results.
No, we are. I am working on a model now to see how can we support farmers on not only trading, but, you know, and also moving it towards. Of course, it's a business advantage for me to get people to worry. If everybody asks for larger eggs, then, you know, my biggest competitor will be gone. So but that's a different story. But overall, yes, consumption. I think we need to work on that. In this day and age, when even for underwear there are so many ads, if you don't talk about our product, I think to expect consumption to keep going up, because I think if we get our act right, I think we'll double every 6-7 years consumption, right? And again, like Yusi was saying, is about we have to do that with less, right? I think we have those genetics now. We have those genetics which are working, and like he's saying that they're working harder on that also. I think processing is going to happen. So you'll see from next year. You will see products from next year itself in India. We will launch. We're just too many balls in the air right now, or eggs in the air. So as each one of them settles, I think we will start that.
Okay. Any more specific questions? Or else we move on to the next speaker. Thank you very much, Suresh. Now we have two speakers. Both of them, I think, will be touching the disease aspect. And the first one is my friend, Dr. M.M. Chawak. He's going to talk on current scenario of poultry diseases, prevention and control. As far as Dr. Chawak's biodata is concerned, he he is a graduate from Nagpur Veterinary College and postgraduate from Mumbai Veterinary College in Poultry Science and PhD from IVR Izzatnagar in Avian Diseases. He is recipient of ICAR Junior Research Fellow Award, also recipient of IVR Senior Research Fellowship, and he worked as a scientist at PDP, same place, that time it was PDP. And then here he worked for 9 years, and then he resigned his job and joined Venkateshwara Hatcheries. Presently, he is working as General Manager, Poultry Diagnostics and Research Center at Pune, and he is associated with many professional associations. And we always look forward to listen from Dr. Chawak, because he is the person at the helm of the affairs, wherein he knows the real truth of the disease conditions of the country as such, because all the samples go to PDRC. Dr. Chawak, please.
Thank you, Dr. Anade. Good afternoon, everybody. I take a thread from Dr. Mahesh's presentation. In the context of in the context of challenging environment, it's everybody is noticing that every time, every season, different climate is there, what we have experienced in the past. And it causes a lot of stress on the birds, and it makes the birds susceptible to various disease. So high disease pressure continuous high disease pressure is there, and definitely the birds, they will respond to the stress, and lot of disease outbreaks are there. So there are various factors which are responsible for diseases. There is variation in disease conditions in different agroclimatic zones. There is always emergence and re-emergence of diseases. Improper biosecurity, again, it plays important role in spreading of diseases, and maybe immunosuppression, which might be causing because of high density or nutritional factors. It can cause immunosuppression, and when immunosuppression is there, the birds remain susceptible for various diseases, and you can see a lot of disease outbreaks. The old diseases that continue are Newcastle disease, low pathogenic avian influenza, Marek's disease, infectious bursal disease, smallpox, then bacterial diseases such as salmonellosis, colabacillosis, fall cholera, infectious coryza, avian mycoplasmosis, and parasitic and other disease conditions like coccidiosis, mycotoxicosis, and gout. These are multifactorial, of course. So if you see the disease incidence in the year 2021-22, respiratory disease complex or CRD is a major disease condition in this year, followed by colabacillosis. Of course, Newcastle disease and low pathogenic avian influenza has got role in the respiratory disease complex or CRD, but that role is definitely, we have to see which factor is responsible or which is the major causative factor, because many a times Newcastle disease and low pathogenic avian influenza comes together, and again afterwards air seculitis and coli bacillosis are the secondary complications. So if you see the viral diseases prevalent in this year, of course, low pathogenic avian influenza is predominant, followed by Newcastle disease. And again, if we see the month-wise prevalence, during July, August, September, October, November, the disease incidence is less than the other months, particularly in summer months, March, April, May, and June. The viral disease prevalence is more in all over the country. Bacterial diseases, of course, coli bacillosis and respiratory disease complex caused by Microplasma and other complicating factors are taking upper hands. So Newcastle disease, of course, it's very important disease. And even after vaccination, because most of the outbreaks we are seeing even after vaccinations with different vaccines, with killed vaccines also, with live vaccines also, combinations also, we are seeing lot of Newcastle disease outbreaks. And of course, we are seeing the common classical lesions like ulcers and proventricular hemorrhages, then tracheal hemorrhages, etc. But again, even sometimes if we see the lameness in maybe breeders or in commercial layers also, and then we try to isolate the viruses, then definitely we can get vallogenic Newcastle disease virus. And again, we can reproduce the same disease. So that's the importance. And even sometimes it's very acute, and without seeing any lesions, we used to get the vallogenic viruses. So these are some of the lesions. So what we do at our institute, we do isolate and genotype and pathotyping is being done, and then we try to reproduce the disease. So we collected many Newcastle disease virus isolates from various regions during 2015 to 2022. And then we collected history. All the affected flocks were vaccinated with Newcastle disease. We did Newcastle disease diagnosis by isolation and QRT-PCR. And when we do pathogenicity index, ICPA index ranged from 1.6 to 1.90, indicating the very highly pathogenic Newcastle disease viruses. We did molecular characterization based on full F-gene sequencing. And then what we observed is most of the isolates from India, they belong to genotype 13, because as per the new this genotyping, particularly this genotype 13 is divided in genotype, subgenotype 13A, 13B, and 13C. So most of the isolate, they from India, they belong to genotype 13B. That is subgenotype 13B is very predominant in all zones, while from some outbreaks, we got subgenotype 13C from East zone in commercial broilers that we isolated from Assam, and then Orissa also, from Bihar also, we isolated this 13C. And recently in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and East zone, we isolated subgenotype 7I, showing that is showing close similarity with subgenotype 7I. Why this subgenotyping is important? Because if we are vaccinating with different genotype, then we are getting hardly partial protection. We are not getting the full protection. If the antigenic nature of the vaccine is close to the outbreak, then definitely we will get full protection. Otherwise, we used to get partial protection. So that's why subgenotyping is very important. This is phylogenetic tree of NDV gene genotype 13 isolates in 2019 to 2022. So most of the genotypes, most of the isolates we are getting in genotype 13, and some we got genotype 7. And this genotype 7, of course, is not getting protected when we vaccinate with normal vaccines. That's the importance. So how do we prevent and control this Newcastle disease viruses? This Newcastle disease vaccines without biosecurity may not control Newcastle disease, especially in endemic countries that is there. So better understanding of the reasons of vaccine failure is required. A regular review of field vaccination protocols is necessary to ensure adequate application and response to emerging strains. And I already told you that vaccine that provides antigens matched to circulating strains induce more specific humoral response and decreasing viral shedding, thereby reduces the viral load in the field. So many a times we used to get co-infection of Newcastle disease with low pathogenic avian influenza, because both the diseases are very common and very endemic. So if both the diseases are present, then we used to get high clinical manifestations with high mortality. And frequent co-infections, interferences were reported in many areas of the world, especially where both viruses are endemic. The interaction between pathogens at the same infection site could be synergistic, and this interaction could subsequently determine severity of the disease complex. So this phenomenon depends on the interaction time, post-immune response, and or other environmental factors. Of course, secondary bacterial infections with Microplasma and E. coli are very important. They always cause increase in mortality and higher clinical manifestations. LPI is a major concern. It is spread through worldwide and isolated frequently from apparently normal migrating waterfowl and domestic poultry. It is causing subclinical, mild, or fulminating respiratory syndrome with high mortality up to 20% if it is alone and or drop in egg production. Many secondary bacterial complications are observed. Here, many a times we have observed drop in egg production after peak. So those cases we have studied. Lot of cases we have studied. So particularly when Newcastle disease titers are low, there is always a drop in egg production. If subclinical LPI infection is there, definitely we used to get drop in egg production. And if sometimes we observed this IBH inclusion body hepatitis, particularly serotype 2 isolates, sometimes they used to cause drop in egg production when the production is at peak. ILT, of course, it is an important disease, particularly in Hyderabad, Namakkal, and Mysore area. But so far, it has not got importance in other parts of India. We have seen sporadic outbreaks in Maharashtra, but in that time, when we took the history, it is observed that they brought the birds from Hyderabad, and after that 5 to 7 days, the outbreak started. So definitely we have to provide we have to have the awareness in the farmers regarding those diseases. When we isolated this ILT, we did isolation, histopathology, and sequencing studies at PDRC. So most of the isolates, they were identical to the vaccines. So probably it is thought that the ILT incidences observed in particular area are because of sporadic the vaccines brought from other countries which are not effective, and afterward they gain the virulence. So when we can have the phylogenetic tree constructed based on the partial sequence of enveloped glycoprotein G of ILT virus, most of the viruses, they belong to the same group, which is identical to the vaccine viruses. Again, IBV outbreaks. We are facing IBV outbreaks since long. Basically, respiratory IBV we are seeing very few outbreaks, but nephropathogenic IB outbreaks are very common. This is very contagious infection of chickens, and in spite of vaccination, several outbreaks were reported, and we have isolated novel variants of nephropathogenic IBV emerged in India since 1998. So as per the new genotyping, this Indian nephropathogenic IBV strains belong to genotype 1, lineage 24, while 4/91 type IBV strains, they belong to genotype 1, lineage 13, and mass type of IBV strains belong to genotype 1, lineage 1, and cross protection is very questionable. Particularly what we have seen recently, we have isolated some novel nephropathogenic strains from the reproductive tract of commercial layers and breeders. And in those particular flocks, the production was very poor. And when we reproduced the disease, we got the most of the lesions in reproductive tract, that is uterus and other reproductive tract. So then we took that isolate and then incorporated in the vaccine. But only when we have given this vaccine to at very young age, then only we could prevent the disease. So we have to change the vaccination schedule for particularly this kind of novel nephropathogenic strains. Then regarding chronic respiratory disease, particularly caused by Mycoplasma gallisepticum and concurrent bacterial and viral infections. It is extremely important in broilers, and it is not a great killer, but it is of great economic importance. So these are some of the lesions. This is the old chicks with Mycoplasma gallisepticum. And even we are isolating Mycoplasma cyanovi from the respiratory tract of chickens. So definitely role of Mycoplasma cyanovi cannot be ruled out in as a causative agent of this CRD. When we talk about immunosuppression, there are various viruses which cause immunosuppression. At the same time, managemental and nutritional factors are also responsible for immunosuppression. Infectious bursal disease, chicken anemia virus, Murex disease, avian reoviruses, fowl adenoviruses, enteric parvoviruses, reticuloendotheliosis, Newcastle disease virus, and Mycoplasma species, and coccidiosis and cryptosporidiosis also cause immunosuppression. And sporadically, we are seeing all these things, and even coccidiosis is most common. So when we talk about infectious bursal disease, Right now, we are not getting many outbreaks of infectious bursal disease, but subclinical cases of IBD are always seen in commercial layers, growers particularly. And these are very important because when we see in those particular cases, afterwards we used to get gangrenous dermatitis and gizzard erosion. So, which is a causative, the causative factor for GD and G? Of course, you know that even adenoviruses and chicken viruses are responsible. If you see the classification of IBD genogroups, particularly this genogroup 3 is important for us. Most of the Indian isolates are in this subgenogroup 3, and particularly this VVIBD cases we are seeing when this is 77 to 80% mortality, we are seeing that is a different subgroup. And then VVIBD intermediate plus vaccine group is different. And of course, attenuated strains, the group is different. When we talk about CAB, gizzard erosion, and gangrenous dermatitis, this is complex. Immunosuppression by destruction of thymic lymphocytes, bone marrow lymphopoietic precursors, then we used to get the immunosuppression. Of course, concurrent infections with IBDV, foul adenoviruses, Marek's disease, REV, they enhance the pathogenicity of chicken anemia virus and the immunosuppression, which leads to various clinical manifestations. Once the immunosuppression starts, we used to get various lesions like coccidiosis also. We used to get reoviral infection also. Marek's disease is very common. So we can get fowlpox also many a times. So reduced immune response to vaccination is also we used to get in immunosuppression. And many a times this immunosuppression is responsible for increased incidence of MD vaccination failures. We sequenced many CAB isolates, and these are genetically different strains which are circulating in Indian subcontinents. In India, particularly CAB disease incidence, we used to see in 3 to 16 weeks of commercial layers. Growers particularly, average mortality you can see from 0.5 to maybe even 80% also. And sometimes we observe that coccidiosis is a predisposing factor. And then in CAB, GE and GD case, we can see 8 to 10% mortality also. In cage brooding, particularly high mortality is observed, and particularly critical months for this GD, June to September, which are very hot and humid conditions are there, we can see a lot of outbreaks. And severity varies with concurrent infections and management. Then these clinical diseases associated with foul adenoviruses, of course, we can see inclusion body hepatitis, which is very common in mostly Orissa, even in Gujarat, and even in Maharashtra also I've seen a lot of cases, and hydropericardium syndrome and avian gizzard erosion cases also we notice in foul adenoviruses. There is a seasonal variation, and certain geographical locations and certain managemental issues are more responsible for these IBH, HPS, and gizzard erosion cases. And most of the incidences are observed in the months of June to September. So multiple serotypes are circulating in the field, and particularly this serotype 8, serotype 11, and serotype 4 are pathogenic. And even we isolated serotype 2 from these egg drop cases also. We isolated serotype 9 also, but it's non-pathogenic. Marek's disease. So far, last 4-5 years, we have seen very sporadic cases of Marek's disease. in particularly in commercial layers. Particularly Bangalore area, we got some cases in broiler breeders, but mortality was not high. It's because of the evolution of virulent strains and vaccine breaks because of immunomodulation and maybe because of improper vaccine handling, compromised biosecurity, and concurrent immunosuppressive infections such as chicken anemia, IBD, reoviral infections, or mycotoxins also. So improving biosecurity, proper storage and handling of vaccines, and management of immunosuppressive diseases should be given equal importance in controlling of MD outbreaks. Of course, nowadays we are getting a lot of cases of mycotoxicosis because we are making compromise at feed front, and even in this ingredients also we are getting a lot of toxins, particularly aflatoxin, ochratoxin, and T2 toxins. Lot of ingredients are manifested with these toxins, and then afterwards we used to get a lot of mortality also, or even production drop also. These are some of the clinical manifestation of toxins, T2 toxin, DAS, and ochratoxin. So what are the prevention and control strategies? So first thing is integrated disinfection protocol, good managemental practices, toxin control program, vaccination strategies, and proper medication needs to be followed. So conclusion is need for continuous disease monitoring. Sound vaccination strategies and procedures need to be followed. Nutritional and management tools to counteract losses, it's always there, and proper biosecurity measures are to be in place. So with this, we can at least prevent or control the viral or bacterial diseases. Thank you. If you have got any questions.
Any specific questions?
Hepatitis infection, IBS.
Yeah, we used to get many cases in particularly hot and humid conditions, IBH, as well as even GDG cases also.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chawak.
Hello, sir. One more question. Dr. Chawak, this dermatitis, this complex, is seen in a particular breed. I'm saying it for more than 2 decades.
Yeah, I know.
So why your means you scientists are not able to solve it? So much research is being done, and it is coming, and farmer is losing like anything. He doesn't get in every batch, but out of 10 batches, at least 3-4 batches, and wherein the mortality is 20 to 30%, even 40%.
Yeah,
between 7 weeks to 12 weeks, even up to 14 weeks also. This is question. This is first question. Second question is, you said that after peak production, the production is dropping.
Yeah,
I am saying it for more than 10 years. This VVND problem. Somebody said it is IB, somebody say VVND. What exactly it is? How to get back the production again to normal, where it was normal. Say it is 90%, it dropped to 60%. Again, it comes to 85. It is minus 5 to 7% before this pre-infection levels. So this is, so many trials have been conducted. Nothing has come out. Poultry farmers are not only losing in low egg price, but also due to this heavy losses by drop in production. There is no control. I am not saying that it is there in every batch. Out of 10 batches, this is there in every breed. And out of 10 batches, 3-4 batches, the same problem, and heavy losses. No prevention, no control, no specific treatment as of now. So what research people are doing, God only knows. In human medicine, so much, see, the poultry industry is such a big industry, billions of rupees have been invested.
and simple disease for more than 10 years, 20 years, I am saying, nobody is able to solve. Yeah, can you just tell me
Yeah.
what
the
is being
point
done for
what he
this?
wants to make is, a lot of work is being carried out, but the farmers are not getting solution.
Why can't it happen in poultry industry?
In humans, the conditions are different. People, they are able to spend a lot of money, and companies are there, and a lot of foreign companies, they spend a lot of money. But if you see the livestock or poultry industry, people are not ready to spend that kind of money. And even the particularly if I talk about CAV or GDG, first thing is we are getting it in all the breeds that is there, and many factors are responsible for this higher mortality. And because if we can see this CAV, along with CAV, we used to see reoviral infection, coccidiosis. If coccidiosis is there and if IBD is there, definitely we are getting huge mortality because of immunosuppression also. So sometimes we may not notice about this subclinical coccidiosis and subclinical IBD. So those are major factors. We afterwards we can get it immunosuppression. So we cannot notice this subclinical IBD and subclinical coccidiosis, but afterwards we can see this immunosuppression. So that is the major thing. So that we should not blame any breed or any kind of thing, but since it is a multifactorial in origin, we can get it in some batches and we may not get it in other batches. That's the only solution. That's the only justification I'm having right now.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Chawak. A lot could be discussed on that, and you can always, interact with the people who wants to talk about it. See, there are certain diseases which why they occur and how long they are going to be there is a matter of debate. You cannot just predict about it anyways. Better to be preventive, take preventions, and carry on. So now let me call the next speaker, Dr. Mujeeb. He actually is retired as Deputy Director in 2020 from Disease Investigation, Veterinary Biological Research Institute, Hyderabad, Government of Telangana. He has served for 34 years in the government service, mainly as a poultry pathologist. He is Nodal Officer of Telangana for OI, PVS evaluation, Nivedi, SRDDL, etc. He played a key role in tackling avian influenza in the state of Telangana and imparted several trainings to the field veterinarians on different diseases. He has published 133 technical papers and he has received 7 national awards, and he is consultant having his own poultry disease diagnostic laboratory. Dr. Mujeeb, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Respected chairman, co-chairman, distinguished delegates, distinguished dignitaries, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Generally, when there are 2 topics on diseases, something gets overlapped. But I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers for giving me a topic on notifiable diseases. So I restrict myself more practical aspect, how to tackle notifiable diseases, where we are going wrong. And somebody told us, in human beings, within no time, the COVID vaccine has come. For an example, before going to my actual presentation, if you talk about influenza viruses, if you happen to read the literature, this is the trickiest type of a virus which undergoes mutation very fast. If some company makes a vaccine incorporating some XYZ serotype into it, within no time, within 3 to 4 months, that particular vaccine is not going to help in the field. This is simple answer for such type of strategies. No doubt, whether you have money or not, that is a different issue. But no one can make 100% successful vaccine against influenza in the field, incorporating all such strain. That if I proceed for my presentation, there are H1 to 16, that is hemagglutinin, and neuraminidase 1 to 9. It's practically not possible to incorporate all the hemagglutinin in a vaccine. Of course, if somebody is incorporating 3-4 in a geographic area, that may give protection for some time, 80 to 90%. So my presentation, I am restricting again on the notifiable diseases, and very briefly, just to revive our basic knowledge at some of the slides. Kindly concentrate it, and if I am going wrong, kindly correct me where we are going wrong. See, when IBD was there from 92 to 97, that was the peak period for infectious bursal disease. And no vaccine has yielded better result at that time, except the MB strain, which used to be marketed by Sarabai of Abic Israel. That is the intermediate plus vaccine. There are advantages and disadvantages of such type of plus vaccine. It destroys the B cells. That means to say the production of humoral immunity, 60 to 70%, it will get destroyed. So how can you expect the immunity against other diseases? When you give some other vaccine, you can't expect the immunity. And moreover, 99.99% flocks will be more susceptible for Mycoplasma infection. And when Mycoplasma infection is there, any vaccine, whether you take Ranicate disease vaccine, you take IV vaccine, immunity development will not be to its fullest extent, because you are already harboring, the birds are harboring Mycoplasma infection. So these are some of the things which we have to look into it. Now, the development of immune system starts from the embryonic life itself. And whether you believe it or not, if you come little practically, from day one up to the point of lay, almost every alternate day there is some vaccine. Vaccination itself is a big stress on the bird, and production itself is a big stress on the bird. And you know, respiratory disease complex, everything looks yellow to a jaundice eye. I'll share some of practical things which those who are in the field, they will agree with me. Since 1 year or so, when we talk about Mycoplasma, in those days, 2 decades, 3 decades back, there were incidences of Mycoplasma. There were incidents of some other vertically transmitted diseases like Salmonella, because we are rearing most of the birds in deep litter. Then we have shifted to slatted system. Now all are in cages. But why again the incidence since 2 to 3 years it has increased? And in most of the cases, when you happen to see among MG and MS, which I got it tested through some of the laboratories recently about few months back, whether you believe it or not, almost every alternate case, 90 to 95% cases are coming positive for MS, Mycoplasma synovium. MG, okay, 10 to 15%. And the available good molecule is thiamine hydrogen fumarate, which is not going to give response against Mycoplasma synovium. We have to shift the molecule, which I'll tell in my presentation. So the occurrence of disease problem in poultry in India and the relative importance, it has been related to difference of climate, method of management, and levels of development of poultry. Now, when we talk about notifiable diseases, influenza is a notifiable disease. The good old Newcastle is a notifiable disease. Even Mycoplasma, Salmonella also comes under notifiable diseases. Of course, these are some of the diseases which are more prevalent in the field. As I said, respiratory complex, a general problem in almost all the places throughout the country, as on today, since 1 year. When the age is 24 to 32 weeks, 90% of the people, the problem which they are getting, some XYZ, at some places mortality is more, at some places mortality is less, with respiratory symptoms. The first thing is going towards Mycoplasma. Some they are saying it may be possibility of LPI, some possibility of Mycoplasma. And again, which I have written first, avian metapneumovirus. In 99% of the form, when the forms were screened, it is showing positive for pneumoviruses. And I was really shocked. That was the discussion 15 days back over phone through some key scientists throughout the country, West Bengal and Chennai. Then I said, how come that it is in Telangana? He said, Dr. Sab, if you ask me, I'll give the I will give the data in your Telangana itself. Since 4 or 5 years, he has given me the list, those who are giving vaccination to protect pneumovirus. When I had discussion, our honorable MP sir, because I used to look his technical services also. He is the first person who adopted metapneumovirus vaccine in 2018 itself. And after doing that type of a vaccination, the specific some type of in way terminology we say the pathognomonic lesion is ecperitonitis, which is common in any respiratory form of infection. But this ecperitonitis is more related towards pneumoviruses. And what he told me the other day, then I inquired with some other 2-3 groups also. They said, yes, we are going for such vaccination, and that type of a problem totally we could be able to solve it. And that was a news for me just about a month back or so. So I suggested 2-3 people. Already the age has gone, at least give one vaccination for this pneumovirus. Let us see and we'll monitor. So I am also monitoring presently. I have advised some 2-3 big groups, they have gone for vaccination because the name itself indicates pneumoviruses naturally related to respiratory system, your facial swelling, nasal discharges, ecperitonitis, air seculitis. It similarizes with Microplasma infection. And simultaneously in such type of thing, 90 to 95% samples have come positive for MS. In spite of having very good, excellent biosecurity, in spite of using prevention, very good program for Microplasma. But yet, I asked them to stop the molecule which they are using because it is useless to use the molecule which is not effective. And since few months, we have gone for another molecule, which I will discuss in my presentation. So one is avian metapneumoviruses. Of course, chicken infectious anemia is common. Then we have Marek's disease and lymphoid leukosis. Of course, my total PG was Marek's and lymphoid leukosis from this college only. And I did methyl green and pyrone in DNA staining over here. Recently at some places, lot of cases of Marek's, starting from 22nd, 23rd week, continuing up to 38 and 40 week. I put a question mark. Because I have retired, I didn't do any histopathology and other thing. When I asked them, they said they have sent the sample to Pune. Mela, if you get the result, I'll be very happy. I will be knowing what actually it is. In my opinion, it may not be Marek's. 90% I'll relate towards to LL. Because, you know, in spite of giving good vaccination of Marek's, that 2 double dose. Now, what India needs for Marek's? Per dose, minimum 1,000 plates. Except 1 or 2 vaccine which is available in the market, nobody is producing a vaccine which is having more than 1,000 plates. Of course, 2-3 companies, they have a combination of SB1 and HVT having 5,000 plates. And definitely such type of vaccine is going to give better result because it is matching with the field channel. Suppose if you give simply 1,000 plate per dose, even if you give double dose also, it's a question mark. You may not get a full protection. So these are some of the practical points. And infectious bronchitis too. There is more incidence of infectious bronchitis. And moreover, what's happening, as Dr. Saab is asking, why the production is coming down suddenly. There are a number of cases. Production is going up to top 86, 90% without any reason within no time. It is 15 to 20% drop in production. As far as my own analysis is concerned, possibility again pneumovirus. Second, because of late, since few months back, the maize quality was not good. And some of the sample, the pesticide toxicity was more. To be specific with you, in our Telangana, the thiram toxicity in maize was more. As soon as that has been withdrawn and sample was tested, we could be able to rectify in a span of 2 to 3 weeks. But that particular time, the production drop was severe. Beside the diseases, mycotoxin, as I said, more particularly the pesticides, toxins are creating big problems. The quality of most of the feed ingredients are not good. And recently, I don't know, nutritionists may say, even the DCP or that what we are getting, it's a big question mark. When we send for analysis from 2-3 places, very sorry to say, from reputed company also, the required level of calcium and phosphorus was not there in the DCP. Another major problem, practical problem everywhere in the farm, Daksab, is the presence of lice. And the molecules, cypermethrin and other things which used to give excellent result previously, if you spray once, at least 2 to 3 months, we used to be very comfortable. Now, in spite of using weekly also, no molecule is giving effective results. This is again a big problem. And the incidence of prolapse of the intestine we never seen in the growing stage. And there are n number of cases of prolapse somewhere between 8 to 12 weeks of age with significant mortality. I don't know what could be the reason. Suppose if it is happening at 2-3 places, maybe possibility some nutrition related factor. But when it is happening generalized, in spite of everything perfect, I don't know what could be the reason. So these are some of the practical problems. Now, effective prevention and control of the diseases is the need of the hour. There is need for establishing and vigorously following strict biosecurity measures on the poultry farms. Any plan for controlling the disease, it must be built around 2 main principles. Number 1, we should take every effort to prevent the infectious agent from reaching the bird. In spite of taking all the effort, suppose if the infectious agent reaches to the farm, we should see that the resistance of the bird should be good. That means to say the immune system should be good, which we are not allowing immune system to develop naturally. Because from day 1 onwards, vaccination gets started. That causes a lot of immunosuppression to the birds. And we should see for an example, just to revive our basic things which is required now. What is immunity? Because a lot of graduates, young graduates are sitting, they can define in a better way. That is the resistance of an individual against an infectious agent. Then we have active and passive immunity. Active means, suppose if you are giving any vaccination, the immunity that develops is known as active. And passive, which is transmitted from parent flock to the chicks, which lasts for just 2 to 3 years. And there is no homogeneous prevalence of antibodies in our country. Always the antibodies will be in heterogeneous form because we received the chicks from different age group of the breeders. Then we have got primary and secondary immune responses. Primary response, that's the reason, when we give vaccination at first, we said better prime it with live vaccine, then followed with inactivated vaccine. Priming is a must. And primary response, it develops very slowly, whereas secondary immune response, once the system known for the previous agent, the development of secondary response will be more faster. Then we have humoral and cellular immunity. I said humoral means B cells of the immune system, which is responsible for producing humoral immunity, and T cell, that is thymus, which is responsible for producing cellular immunity. And then we have immunosuppression. Any kind of excess vaccine, suppose some farmer says, sir, I have given double dose of XYZ vaccine. In spite of that vaccine, I am getting problem. What it should? Well, no, there is no need of giving double dose, triple dose, or 1 dose. Give the vaccination at the right time and right route, which is very important. Any vaccination, if you give more vaccination, instead of producing T helper cells, it produces T suppressor cells. And as if you have not given anything, it goes to catabolism and there is no need of production of any antibodies. So these are some of the basic things which I have told you. Now, disease preventing measures, it based on management, nutrition, vaccination, and medication. There are some management concerns, rearing of multi-age group farms in our country, which is unavoidable, and poor biosecurity practices. Nutritional impacts, yes, variation in raw material is a major constraint, price fluctuation, and improper condition of storage and transport. Vaccination is done in almost all the farms to protect the birds against the diseases. And in spite of proper vaccination, disease outbreaks are seen frequently. This is due to severe field challenge and vaccine are not available for all diseases. Medication, there is no virus protection, reduced sensitivity, and day by day it is becoming, antibiotics becoming expensive. And there are irrational use of antibiotics, which should be avoided. And I tell in my lectures, bacteriostatic and bactericidal action. The antibiotics which are meant for bacteriostatic action, keep it for bacteriostatic action. And the antibiotics which are meant for bactericidal action, keep it for bactericidal action. N number of quinolone group of antibiotics we have started using for bacteriostatic action. That's how you name the quinolone group of antibiotic, it is showing resistant nowadays. No, okay. One of the most significant factors limiting efficiency, good performance is disease. Hence, if disease is prevented or limited, efficiency will automatically rise. The most effective form of protection against diseases, especially for poultry, under modern production technique is biosecurity. Of course, biosecurity it itself is a very big topic. And when I was in government for making avian influenza booklet for Government of India, from Punjab, somebody has contributed on biosecurity. I contributed to some extent. So, of course, we talk a lot about biosecurity, but biosecurity alone is not going to help. There are a number of forms wherein, in spite of good biosecurity, there are problems. Now, of course, Newcastle disease, my earlier speaker has covered, but just I will do it, which is a dreadful disease since 1928. When talking to Newcastle disease, I still remember when I was in service, one of my director was there. From the Argentina government, sir, 10 questionnaire came. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is one egg powder plant at Medchal. What is this? Indo-Dutch protein. That was the 7 egg powder plants were there in Telangana. All got it closed. Only that was existing. And there was crores of assignment has to go to Argentina. But they wrote a letter stating that if you justify these 10 points, we are going to take your consignment. It's of some few millions or so. That MD came along with their few veterinarians, and we have been called to director's chamber. The very first question, because it's a coincidence, just I could be able to recollect. Define Newcastle disease in your country. Though the question looks very simple, and what my director told at that time, see, Dr. Mujeeb, nothing doing. Whatever the definition that has been written in veterinary pathology by Ganti Shastri book, that only you have to write it. Well, Asab, in Ganti Shastri book, it has written, it is an acute disease prevalent in our country. The name acute means finish, it will be rejected. No, nothing doing. You scientist will tell something. Whatever I say, you have to do it. So whether you believe it or not, after some time, sir, that consignment got rejected with very one simple answer stating that your definition is not coinciding with our definition. So in one of the presentation, when ICPI has shown as 1.62 or something 2, it's very high ICPI. In all the European countries, they never touch a vaccine wherein the ICPI goes above 1. Our R2B vaccine, Mukteshwar strain, ICPI is above 2. Our Lasota vaccine, ICPI is above 1.2. So below 1.2 only, US and all European countries, they go for Newcastle vaccination. Doing all this type of vaccination and expecting export to those countries is practically not possible. And moreover, from diseases, the international definition differ from country to country. So, of course, I'm not going into detail of this Newcastle disease. There are different routes of transmission. We have inhalation, ingestion, movement of live birds and other animals, movement of people, equipment, movement of poultry product. Incubation period is 2 to 5 days. Then we have got different forms, but in the practical feel, you can't differentiate what type of, it's very easy to diagnose Newcastle disease. But at, even Newcastle also give confusion with LPI and HPI. 2 years back, there is significant increase in the incidence of Newcastle disease. Many people thought that it is LPI or HPI, but in most of the cases, it is Newcastle disease, as my friend said, and in more than 90% of the cases, now the new genotype, that is genotype 13 is the main culprit. And whoever the people, I think only one company is producing the vaccine incorporating genotype 13. And by giving such type of vaccination prophylactically, we got excellent and miraculous result. So because it is coinciding with the field challenge. Of course, these are some of the symptoms: sudden appearance with heavy mortality, then you have increased respiration and weakness, and the flock that recovers from Newcastle disease. In case of Newcastle disease, if you go back little theoretically, cellular immunity gets disturbed. So secondary bacterial invaders or other diseases are more prone after recovery of Newcastle disease. So it's always advisable to give some antibiotic after recovery of Newcastle disease in order to have good performance. Of course, these are different forms. Gross lesion, of course, severely depressed bird. This is paralysis of neck twisting, petechial hemorrhages on the tip of the papillae. That again gives confusion. Suppose if you have any mycotoxins or pesticidal toxin, you can see hemorrhages in proventriculus. But in most of the cases, when it is mycotoxins or pesticide toxins, the hemorrhages will be scattered in between the papillae, not on the tip of the papillae. These are shellless eggs. These are hemorrhagic ulcer. Of course, prevention and control, strict biosecurity. Vaccination is a big subject. The vaccination which I give in Telangana or which I give in 20-kilometer radius will not be fit in another 80 or 100-kilometer radius. So you have to fix a vaccination based on your local veterinarian, what type of vaccination you give for even Ranicate disease also. There are months from February to June. We recommend even in broilers, both live and inactivated vaccine. Even in layers, we recommend inactivated vaccine. Of course, I have given even live vaccine at a low dose injectable. One or two guys, they told me, doctor might have forgotten, instead of giving eye drop or in water, he might have recommended injection. No, brother, go ahead, nothing will happen. So a light dose, single dose of live vaccine, if you give injectable also, it will give very good immunity, particularly when the flocks are coming during summer months, February to June. See, if you go a little bit theoretically, what literature says, any virus at 37 degrees centigrade, it won't survive. Now it is 43, 44. Virus is multiplying like anything in our area. Both Newcastle, LPI, HPI, very comfortably the viruses are multiplying. So theory is one side, practical is one side. We have to coincide theory, lab studies with the practical one. So my humble request is, where even I visited one of the farm which is bordering Vijayawada and Andhra, heavy mortality in commercial layer farm. They have just kept quiet saying that it is nothing but probably question mark for LPI or HPI. When I visited the farm, it is nothing but, as far as gross lesions are concerned, I told them, we'll take the material, we'll get it confirmed. But as far as my opinion goes, it is nothing but Newcastle disease. And that again, we could be able to isolate that genotype 13. Subsequent batches for that particular, it's in form of 3 lakh birds or so, just bordering Telangana and Andhra. Now that gentleman is regularly vaccinating, not only the regular vaccine, along with regular vaccine, one extra inactivated vaccine incorporating genotype 13. Of course, this is a big topic, avian influenza. Just very fast, I'll go. I have involved intensively in avian influenza from the year 2006, when the first outbreak occurred in Novapur. That was first, then subsequently throughout the country. And from that day to till now, every year in some nook and corner, we could be able to see avian influenza. But There are no official vaccination right now, but yet almost everyone is doing the vaccine. We don't know that satisfaction will be there. After doing vaccination, I got the outbreak. That satisfaction, the farmer, I don't know, I can't understand. But vaccination is going on. I don't know when, if this vaccine is also made officially. Of course, there are certain drawbacks. If you make vaccination officially, probably with what I am told is for export, it may hinder. But it has to be, because already 2006 means already 16 years are over, but still we are facing a problem. And you know, the pathognomonic lesions which we used to see few years back, which we are not seeing now. Even I got it confused 1 year back in an area about 80 kilometers from Hyderabad, heavy mortality. When first I opened the bird, I will share with that experience. I couldn't see any pathognomonic lesions for influenza, nor the symptoms. Only postmortem lesions, only two. One is hydropericardium, presence of serosanguinous fluid, and presence of petechial hemorrhages on the thighs. First, I have put a question mark for pesticide toxicity possibility. Then I requested, sitting over there, one of my friend from a reputed laboratory, you have to come over here immediately and just confidentially tell me what's there. He came immediately in an hour or so, and by second or third day on RT-PCR, it's nothing but H5N1. So even the pattern of lesion, I don't know, because of regular vaccination with XYZ vaccine that is going on, and that vaccination also has to be properly channelized. I used to tell in my lectures between avian influenza and ILT, almost the symptom lesion for these two diseases are similar. Whereas influenza, if we talk, it has zoonotic importance, whereas ILT doesn't have any zoonosis. So it will be plus point. Suppose if he's confirmed it as ILT, there won't be any hue and cry in public also. If you say influenza, then the question of zoonosis will come. Of course, these are the things, you know, belong to orthomyxoviruses. See, 2 to the power of 8, 256 different serotypes. This point is very important. Birds have mostly 2-3 linkages on cell receptor, mammals 2-6, whereas swine is having both alpha 2-3 and alpha 2-6. So the main problem is, suppose if the virus goes into the swine, if it mixes and if some new virus come, for which human beings are not resistant, it may create a big problem. Thank God there is no person-to-person transmission. Of course, there are n number symptoms. Again, I repeat, because of respiratory diseases, the almost 90% symptoms and lesions will be similar. These are H hemagglutinin, H16, neuromyelitis 9. This is physiological present H1 and 3 in human being. Luckily, so far in our country, we haven't confirmed H1, H2, and H3 because those are responsible for causing pandemic in the year 1960s. Now we are living in an area of globalization. The things move faster, but in spite of from 2006 to till now, the human beings are not affected. These are some of the photographs. Of course, strict biosecurity. Whatever vaccine we have for influenza in the field, they are inactivated vaccine. As I said, bringing a live vaccine, it's very difficult because there are two strains of the virus can produce 256 new strain, which for any company, it's very difficult to come out with a successful vaccine. Now, the next one is I will just be in 5 minutes, I'll complete ILT. Of course, there is detailed discussion on ILT. I was the first person to publish paper in India on ILT, I think 2 decades back. I was in government and little bit hesitant. And Dr. Manjunath from Bangalore, he requested me, Dr. Saab, somebody should publish an article. Then I said, no, it's difficult. There are certain constraints in my place. Then I took assistance of Dr. Prajapati, pathologist from Anand Veterinary College, and we both we have published a paper on ILT in those days. And officially, sir, I don't know whether for ILT also vaccine comes or not. For influenza, there's a big question mark as far as efficacy of vaccine is concerned. But I have seen n number of cases in the field. ILT vaccine, whichever may be the company, it's giving excellent and very good result, very good protection. Even at the seat of an outbreak, when you are when you are sure of ILT symptoms, if you go ahead with vaccination, either by eye drop or drinking water, within no time, within 4 to 5 days, you will get miraculous results. Again, vaccination in case of ILT based on the geographic area that has to be divided. And next is Mycoplasma. As far as Mycoplasma is concerned, if you have subclinical myelofibrosis, any vaccination against any diseases is just to waste. We are not going to get proper immunity against that. And as I said, presently since 2 years, Mycoplasma synovial is dominating over Mycoplasma gallisepticum. Of course, this is some of the study wherein the losses of Mycoplasma and vertical and horizontal transmission. I'll straight away for Mycoplasma, I'll go to, of course, there are breeders, 3 type, what type, it takes a lot of time. Easy method to check, how to check it. Somebody can take my, this one. See, just 1 minute for these molecule, which is available right now. Most of us, we are using thiamine hydrogen fumarate. I am not against it. That is my favorite molecule. It's very effective against Mycoplasma. Though it is little bit bitter in taste, if you give for treatment 30 mg per kg body weight, prevention somewhere around 15 mg per kg body weight. But it is effective against only Mycoplasma gallisepticum, not against Mycoplasma. If at all it is effective against MS, maybe not even 1%, which we have seen practically. Now, based on present situation, my suggestion will be to switch over or use mostly tilviolacin tartrate, which is more effective against Mycoplasma synovial. And the dose is somewhere 20 to 25 mg per kg body weight. Then we have tilmyco. No doubt these molecules are very, very costly, but yet people are ready to use it when they are getting the result. What I am told, tilviolacin is costly, somewhere around 26,000 rupees a kg. But if you're saving some few X, that cost is nothing. Then we have tilmycosin phosphate, tylosin tartrate, tylosin phosphate, some coilinol group, and tetracycline. It left to the people, but these are the practical situation. Another disease which we have eradicated long back, surprisingly, this particular old disease, salmonellosis in cages, that is creating again a big problem. Some is suggesting 2 type of vaccination. One means 2 inactivated vaccine. And wherever I am practicing 2 live vaccine before laying period, the results are very much encouraging. But wherein 1 live, 1 killed vaccine, that what we have given, it's creating big problem. Of course, disease-wise strategies I have given, wherein, almost similar type of strategies. Best is biosecurity and vaccination, vaccination, area specific vaccination based on geographic area, right time of vaccination, right route of vaccination, right time of vaccination is going to help a lot. My humble request again is, because Chavak Sahab is sitting over here, sir, kindly have a look, because practically since 2 years, particularly Mycoplasma and salmonellosis, these 2 diseases which are good old diseases, it's creating big problem. Where the things went wrong, I don't know. Whether proper screening is taking place in pure lines, or God only knows. But such type of huge incidents, kindly don't think otherwise, but kindly look into it. And I don't know, because such a big group, when we are getting report from throughout the country about it's a news, it was a news for me. And when I was really shocked when 7-8 big group in Telangana, already they are vaccinating against pneumoviruses. So if you happen to see such type of samples, if you get it at your end of pneumovirus, I have cross-checked in our Hyderabad by giving samples to 2 different groups. But at both the site, the results are 100% same. So the prevalence of pneumovirus is more, and after vaccination, that is giving better result. Thank you very much for your patience here.
Thank you very much. It was a very elaborative talk. Very interesting as well, informative, but time is the constraint. That's the problem. So now we are moving on to the last speaker. If any specific questions about the diseases are there, kindly interact with the speaker because we are already running behind the schedule. One more speaker we have to complete. Yeah, you can interact with him afterwards. Yeah.
Sir, as I said, as far as vaccine is concerned, everybody is doing vaccine unofficially.
Only the non-vaccinated. We are not supposed to import them vaccine.
Yeah.
As a policy,
Yes.
but the industry is doing, farmers are doing.
And moreover, getting a right vaccine itself is very difficult because this particular virus is more tricky type of virus which undergoes mutation very fast. And I am told in outside discussion saying that shortly we are getting official permission for the vaccine. That's good. That's good if it is really coming. Even ILT vaccine, I don't know. Many people are using, we are getting good result. Even that has not officiated. I don't know. That also may be coming up. Devan. Acha. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we come to the last speaker of the day, and he is going to talk something about environmentally controlled housing under Indian context. I request Shri Tommy Lin, who is a product manager of from Big Dutchman. He has come all the way from Malaysia to deliver this talk, and we would be definitely interested in listening to him. He is specialized in the climate control. He is specialized in digital flow, data analysis, etc. I mean, most of the things which are to be done with automation, he seems to be the expert in that. So we are interested to listen to you, sir, simply because we have such a big country with so many agroclimatic zones. So how and where such kind of a technology should be used, which is useful, that's what we would like to know from you.
Okay. Testing. Yes. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. So hooray, last speaker over here. So I can see everyone's face is quite tired right now, right? So we got to do some exercise to make your mind fresh up a little bit, all right? So I got to ask you some questions. First question. Who is a male? Please raise your hand. Who is a male? Please raise your hand. You are not male? Male men, boys, come on. Okay, good, very good. Who is the females? Can you please raise your hand? Very good. Okay, so everyone have an exercise. Let's start the presentation today. All right, thank you so much. Is my English okay? Everyone understand? Yeah, if you don't understand, you can raise your hand. I can repeat. All right. So first, all right. I would like to show you some photo over here. So you can see on your right hand side is the breed in 1950. So in your left hand side right there, you can see there's modern breed. Okay, modern boilers over here. So you can see there's a great achievement. Breeding companies, they're coming out with new breeds, with the new DNA and increase the productions. So I would like to ask you, what is the target for you today? Okay, so what about your FCR? Is that possible achieve 1.5 and below? Think about it. What about your mortality? Is that able to achieve 1.8% and below? Averagely, I'm not talking about peaks. Average whole years, you can achieve 1.8 averagely. Okay, not the top one, not the lower one. It's always average. Okay, so FCR 1.5 average. So if you can achieve that, congratulations. And harvest, when the time you harvest is not more than 32 days, because a lot of people talk about FCR, but are they talk about PEF? Okay, this is another measurement, or EPEF. I'm not pretty sure. Have you heard about this before? This is including the day you put it in the house. You know, when you put in the house, it takes space. It take your rental. I'm not pretty sure your land is rent or purchase, and it take your electricity. It take your water. It's always take time. Times equals to money. We always say that. So PEF is another measurement. Maybe you can consider about that and then do measurements. So this is 2 breeds over here. Let's see 7 days later. You can see the size is different. 14 days, 21 days, 35 days. And if you breed like others company, like others country, in US, they go to 3 kg birds. This is how the end of the bird's life over here. It's huge difference compared with 1950 breeds and the modern broiler right now. Okay, so how do we achieve that? I always invited by my customer, go to the farm and do some checking about their farm's situation, how the farm management it is. So when I go inside, I still follow my grandfather is a farmer. Grandfathers, he taught me about this. Look at 5 factors, very important factor. FLAWS, finish. First, feed. Is that your feed is good enough? Just now we have a lot of presenters talk about feed. How quality your feed it is. Next, L, lighting. So if you use open house, sorry about that, it depends on the weather, climate, and your coordinate on the suns and the earth, you know, rotations. Air, ventilations. Yes, ventilation is very important. Right now it's a big topic. Water. How do you get your water? Is it underground water, river water? Do you split up your water with washing house water and animal drinking water? How about the hardness, water hardness, and pH? It's very detailed. And last one, security, biosecurity. Just now we have talked about it. A lot of information over there. But if you follow these 5 factors, you can go through and roughly understand your farm management, how it is work. So today my topic will be focused on air, which is ventilations. All right. So first rule first, when we talk about ventilation, the first rule inside the EC house, we always think about the temperature. You can see that there is a 3 diagrams over here I taken from cost boiler management and one of the scientists from Ross and Indian rover boiler management over here. You can see almost the same pattern over here from day O, which is 34 degrees Celsius, okay, and then descending every day and then until you harvest date. So if we draw as a graph, you can see almost like this. It's going up and then slowly go down. All right. So you roughly know about the bird's temperature needs for your bird management guideline over there. But when we compare about these readings with your local climate, let's see your local climate. I have an example over here, which is Hyderabad, India, local climate average temperature. Okay. So in January and December, the average temperature is between 21 to 22 degrees Celsius. And during right now, yeah, May and June is the highest temperature. It's always go above 30 degrees Celsius. So let's think about that. Compare with just now the diagram we have in the left-hand side over here. You can see my pointer, right? Okay, good. So if your birds is reached about 24 or 27 days, the temperature they need is between 24 degrees Celsius. But can you achieve 24 degrees Celsius over here? Think about it. Obviously not. You can't get the birds feel comfortable in this climate zone. So what do you want? The birds need chill, need wind. Like just now, this morning, everyone sit here, crowded. Everyone feel hot, isn't it? You need chill. You need wind chill effects. So the question is, what does it mean, wind chill effects? I have an example over here. Raise hand again. Is anyone ride motorbike before? Can you raise your hand? Yes, we go farm, you know, we always ride motorbike. Me too, okay? So in here, let's do an example. Before you ride your motorbike, you take out the temperature sensor, measuring your surrounding temperature. It's about 20 degrees Celsius, all right? Just example. When you start riding the motorbike, okay, go to 30 kilometers per hour, you will feel a little bit colder, isn't it? It's because the winds blow and take out your body heat. So you will feel about 5 degrees Celsius drop. But if during this time, you measure your surrounding temperature, the temperature, it showed it to you still 20 degrees Celsius. That is the difference between human field temperature and the measurement temperature. Of course, if you ride a motorbike much faster, 60 kilometers per hour, you will feel further drops the temperature, go to 10 degrees Celsius. Then you will feel very chilled, okay, very cold over here. But when this time you measure the temperature, surrounding temperature, is still go to 20 degrees Celsius. All right. So in this particular example over here, you can see there's 3 very important factors. First is the measured temperature, 20 degrees Celsius. Another is about wind speed, the speed of movement, air movement. And the last is about human felt temperature. Use the same technology, same way, same calculation. Let us move to birds. So scientists have made a test about wind chill effect for the birds. In this diagram, you can see in the day-old chicks, the birds feel 7 degrees Celsius drop if we provide 1 meter per second wind speed. All right. When the birds grows bigger, the data over here show is a boiler for your information. Layer will be different and breeder will be different as well. Okay. So when the birds grow to about 35 days here, you can see that the birds' field temperature drops is only 3 degrees Celsius in 1 meter per second wind speed. Okay, so from these 3 data, we can put it together and coming out with one formula. This is a formula, okay, designed by the Dutchman over here. So you can see that the formula is bird felt temperature is almost equals to the inside house temperature minus the wind speed times the wind chill factor. Okay, so now let's do some question over here. All right, let me ask you, if let's say inside the house temperature is 29 degrees Celsius, all right, we know these birds right now is 28 days, and I provide you the wind chill factor for the birds is 3.5. And a boiler house fans, let's say I run most of the fan and it able to create 3 meters per second. Can you tell me what is the bird felt temperature? Anyone can answer this? 18.5. Very good. So in here, you can see it's almost same like the bird management guideline that we want to go through over here. So if for big birds, 28 degrees Celsius, 28 days, we can achieve the bird's temperature needs by bird felt temperature. It's not the room temperature over here. All right. Let me move to the second question. All right. Okay, now it's a super hot days like today. Okay. So inside house temperature is go to 3.5 degrees, 35 degrees Celsius inside house temperature. It's super hot days. Okay, 35 degrees Celsius. And we have the same birds, 28 days boiler. And we know that the chill factor is 3.5. And we know this, birds want to achieve 21 degrees Celsius from the management guideline. Can you tell me what is the wind speed that we need to generate for let the birds feel comfortable? Can someone help me to do the calculations on that? Okay. It's a little bit. Very good. It's 4 meters per second. All right. But is that sounds realistic if we generate such a huge wind speeds inside the house? Obviously not, okay? Because if you achieve about 3 or 4 meters per second, it's like a typhoon or hurricane for the birds. The birds will feel too strong winds. So the birds won't eat. It's just sitting over there and no activities. So if we want to know about the right wind speed, I can give you some ideas about here. Okay, you have to follow this graph over here. Is the wind chill effect is only work in range basis. It's not from 0 to infinity. All right. So you can go to wind chill effect. It starts from 1 meter per second until 3.5 meter per second. If more than 3.5 meter per second, the winds is become a hurricane or typhoon for the birds. All right. So it's always a range basis. So in here, you can see that if we want to install a EC house, I will suggest you design the fan or put the fan able to achieve the wind speed between 2.5 meter per second until 3.5 meter per second. The recommended for boiler will be 3 meter per second. That will be good. All right. So next has a summaries for first stage. Okay, just first stage. Okay, you can see that we can use wind chill effect in the hot climate environment in EC house. Okay, and the point number 1 is different birds age have different chill factor. Okay, so we have to know about that. Then third point over here, chill factor, it works in 1 meter per second until 3.5 meter per second. Okay, if you don't know about what is 1 meter per second, you can't feel it. Doesn't matter. You can look in for our detachment. We can help you to design. So this house, if we want to achieve 3 meter per second, how many fans that you need over here? All right. So next question over here. Okay. So if a boiler install with 2.5 meter per second maximum, we install the fans. Okay. For boiler reach 28 days old, the chill factor over here is 3.5 again. Okay. The temperature requirement is 21 degrees Celsius. If we calculate that like this, in this house, the maximum fan it have to turn on is about 29.75. Okay. But what about if the temperature inside this house above 30 degrees Celsius? What's the next step we're supposed to do? We already switched on all the fans. So what is the next step? It can be that inside the house go to 30 degrees Celsius. So of course, we can have a cooling pad. So this is where the cooling pad's coming from. First thing first, we need to have a fan. Fan create wind chill. Okay, birds like wind speed. After that, then we implement with cooling pads over here. Okay. So evaporative cooling is the next solution for you. All right. But the question is when we shall switch on this cooling, tunnel cooling system over here. Okay. So let me do some example. We know that the bird is a warm blood animal. All right. The body temperature for birds is between about 40 degrees Celsius to 41 degrees Celsius. So birds generate heat. It's like a generator. You have to have heat to maintain their daily activity, feedings, movement, internal organ movement. Okay. Birds require heat. And then this heat they need to release to the environments over here. Okay. So this heat generated by birds, okay, released to the environment is we call sensible heat. It's like temperature sensor. It's able to feel it, it's able to sense it. All right. So, for example, in the room, it have they lost the temperature, lost the heat. It's much easier if the room temperature is low. Okay, so easy like right now we switch on the aircon. For you to release the heat is much easier. All right. So, however, if when the room temperature is increased to 25 degrees Celsius, birds cannot release the heat. So they have to find another ways to do that. So remember, birds don't sweat. I think everyone's know about it. Okay, so it lost the heat to the surrounding. Once they cannot lose the heat, they have to use evaporative cooling. So which means panting. All right. So panting is one of the example for birds to release the heat. This heat release, we call it latent heat loss. Okay. So such a heat loss cannot detected by sensor. So we have two different heats over here. So this is one of the example, research that we do in study case when the room temperature in 25 degrees Celsius and the humidity right now we are talking, is 50%. All right. So in here, you can see that birds able to release the sensible heat in very good way, and it able also release their heat by using latent heat wave, which is panting. But when the temperature is increased over here, you can see here, when the temperature increase until 30 degrees Celsius and 50% of the humidity, birds actually start reduce the sensible heat release way because the surrounding temperature is much higher. They're not able to release about it. So they only can depending on the latent heat. In such situation, what the birds do is they will reduce feed consumption because they cannot release the heat. So they will reduce the feed consumption, reduce the activity over here. This is where it start impact to your FCR. And last study case, case number 3, when the temperature is go to 30 degrees Celsius and the humidity is 90% right now. Birds is totally cannot reduce their heat by latent heat. So what's the bird do? They are dying. So remember, this is how the impact of the humidity. So it's not just temperature, humidity is another impact over here. So the question is, how do we make the humidity is low? That is very important. So I will say that create the air movement. Always air movement is very important over here. So a good air movement is always important over here. It's able to remove the humidity and heat from the birds. One solution solve 2 ways over here. So this is another example over here. You can see that the latent heat, it can continue go through, and then the sensible heat is also increased. This is good for birds. This is what we just now talk about. It's a wind chill effect over here. All right. So wind chill effect, as we say, it has a range basis. Too low airspeed, it doesn't remove the bird heat. All right. It's too high airspeed, it is above the maximum wind chill, it doesn't work as well. So remember, the good wind chill effect is between 1 to 3.5 meter per second. So tunnel cooling, what is the right airspeed to turn on tunnel cooling? A correct airspeed to turn on the tunnel cooling is make sure the front temperature and the back of the house temperature, the differences is not more than 2 degrees Celsius. If you have an easy house, make sure that when you turn on the tunnel cooling, don't make it front temperature and back temperature is too different. Because when you do that, the front birds will be feel good and the back side of the bird, it will feel very hot. Then you won't get the uniformity. So how to make sure the birds, the two temperature is even, is using the right air movement. All right. Or easiest way, turn on all the fans, then run the cooling pads. All right. So another thing is a lot of people also thinking about, what about humidity? When it's high humidity outside, should I turn on the cooling pads? All right. In here, you can see there's a graph in the climate zone over here. So in here, you can see the blue color is the humidity. And the red color over here is a day's temperature. When the daytime's coming, the temperature is going up. When the nighttime, the temperature is going down. So you can see here on the daytime temperature go to 32.22 degrees Celsius, and the nighttime the temperature is close to about 21.11 degrees Celsius. But humidity over here you can see very good. Okay, in the nighttime the humidity is very high. It's close to 100%. But in the daytime it dropped to 55%. So you can see there is a crossing way, intersection points over here. This is the point we call it 80-80 rules, which is found out by US scientists when 80 degrees of Fahrenheit and versus 80% of the humidity, there is an intersection point over there. All right. So from this graph, we can use this point to measure when we have to turn on the cooling pads. When the cooling pads is below 80%, we can start turn on the cooling pads. Okay, this is a very good indication for humidity to start go low, then start your cooling pads over here. Okay, so cooling pad may use in the lower humidity because the air able to hold enough moisture, okay, without impact to the latent heat loss from the birds. Okay, so this is another graph over here in the Hyderabad. In here, you can see that this is the temperature, okay, and this is the humidity. And from this graph, you can see by hour basis, it's much detailed than the previous graph over here, okay. In Hyderabad's area, when the temperature in a year is between 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, you have a 150 hours. Okay, so in 38 to 40 degrees Celsius in a year, you can see that is 213 hours in a year over here. So if we use this graph over here, we can calculate where is the green zone, okay, to switch on the fans to make sure your birds can cool down. And we also can calculate where is the zone you want to switch on the cooling pads. So you have a fan zone, you have a cooling pad zone over here. Like just now we say we have a 80-80 rules, all right? So you can see over here, there's another small room over here. It's more than 80% of the humidity and higher than 28 degrees Celsius. This is the zone we say is above the 80-80 rule, okay? So in here, this is a very dangerous zone over here. I would like to say that, okay? This is a zone we cannot switch on the cooling pad, but you can switch on the full fan over here to release the bird stress. Of course, you have to do something more, which is turn on the light. Okay, if in easy how you can turn on the light to make sure the birds have less activity and then get a good production over here. All right. So as a summaries over here, okay, I would like to say that beside the first point, wind chill effect, we can talk about the evaporative cooling. After we achieve enough air speeds, okay, we also have to looking for cooling pads. How do you switch on the cooling pad? Make sure when you switch on the cooling pad, in front of the house temperature and the behind of the house temperature is not more than 2 degrees Celsius difference. And the easiest way is turn on all your fan, then switch on the cooling pads. And then approximately targets to switch on the cooling pads is between 28 degrees Celsius and above. All right, and make sure your humidity, inside house humidity, is not more than 80%. Okay, now we have talked about the dangerous zone over here, high humidity, high temperature. Okay, cooling pad zone, which is above 30 degrees Celsius and low humidity zone over here. And we have another zone is between 24 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius zone, which is you can use fan to run through. Of course, there's another 2 zone over here. I won't cover it today. If you have time, you can looking for me and our sales representative. We can talk separately over here, which is this zone. Okay, This zone, I call it, is a thermal comfort zone for birds, which is a congratulations, it's the best zone for birds. They are happy on that. And of course, this is the presentation slide. Maybe I can show it to you. This is how it is the birds look like. It's a video. I'm not pretty sure. Is that work? Oh, it's not working. Sorry about that. Okay, this is also the video. Over here, you can see the bird spread is very good. Is it working? No, it's not working. It's okay, just pass through. Okay, so make sure the low airspeed quality when you run through the or you call it thermal zones over here, the comfort thermal zone. Make sure your birds placement is look nice. Okay. Of course, if you run more fan, you can see the birds. Okay, try to move behind. If you see the birds move front, okay, that means they like to have wind chill. Okay, which is as for the single tunnel. So make sure that it's the correct way the bird's movement. All right. So this is another good ways to do the thermal zone. So I just skip that. Has a summaries over here. Okay, for the thermal zone, it's ideal for birds, and regular exchange is required if you have open house system. During this thermal comfort zone, you can use as the open house. Just open the curtain. Make sure the birds feel fine. All right. So natural ventilation or side ventilation is recommended. All right. For open house, just have to watch out the wind direction and the wind speed. If you have we call this weather station, will be good over there. All right. The last zone will be the heating zones. All right. So how the position of the heater, we can have a discussion in future. All right. So this is the height of the heater. How do you want to place your heater's height? All right. And how to control all the equipments in the same time. Okay, this is very important because you can see just now, we can split out with one temperature in the Hyderabad with 4 zones for big birds. What about day 7 birds, day 0 birds, day 21 birds? They need a different control weights. All right. Okay, so you can see from this photo, this is the grouping birds in when you reach the cold days. So how do you solve it? Do you have a right position of your heater? All right, so there is a 5 zone over here. I think everyone can think about it. Okay, so day 9, day 7, continue. So we are not just study about one Hyderabad. You can see here we can have 3 different areas over here. Kolkata, I can show it, New Delhi over here, these diagrams. All right, and then different areas, Pony. So this is how we control. Okay, and you can, if you want to know more information, you can talk to our salesperson over here. Okay, and detachment is not just provide ventilation. All right, we have provide different equipments. Okay, including silos over here, the feed controls, centralized control, manual handling. Is anyone heard about black soldier fly? New information over here. Okay, and then farm management consultancy as well. All right, so this is one of the successful story photo from Kolkata over here in the layer height site. I don't think I can play this. This is the video. All right, and we also have a boiler over here, and we will help you to measure the wind speed. Make sure the wind speed is reach the right quality that we can achieve. All right, you can see the birds placement over here, the quality over the birds. Okay, so this is one of the house that we design for our customer, and how to do the egg conveyor belt. All right, this is end of my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lim. Excellent presentation. Very informative, elaborative as well. You showed it with the diagram, so it was more impressive. If anybody has any specific questions, please. Yeah. So thank you very much. With this, we come to the end of the second technical session. We had 4 speakers, and of course, one more left over from the previous session. Yusi Patel, Dr. Chawak, Mujeeb, Suresh Raidu, and Tommy Lin. All of them, they spoke very well on different topics, and it was, I'm sure, it was very enlightening for the audience. Dr. Hazare, if you want to pass any comments.
Really very informative session. We all really enjoyed it, and you have been very cooperative for making the session time bound. I will request the organizers to proceed with the further program.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we come to the end of the technical session 2. So now I would like to honor the speakers. Sir, 1 minute. So now I request Chairman of the session, Ranade, to honor Dr. Sri Suresh Raidu, sir, with a memento. Photo diye. Photo. Madhu, photo diye. Sir, 1 minute. Madhukar, le lo. And see Yusi Patel, Dr. Yusi Patel. Dr. Chawak, sir. Dr. Mujeeb, sir. दोनों खड़े हो जाइए सर. Dr. Tommy Lim, who has all the way come from Malaysia. Special thanks to Big Dutchman, Mr. Satishan and his team, Lakshman Satishan, for having him here. Thank you very much. Now I request our director to present a memento to Dr. Azari. Kanada sabka to already de diya. So double nahi de rahe. Sir, we will have another 10-15 minutes of concluding session. For this session, I request our director to chair the session and Dr. Kotaya sir also to co-chair the session. I invite and chairmen of 2 sessions, Ram Subbareddy sir and Ranade sir also to please occupy the dais. Madhukar, is better. Sir, run. Ranade sir, please. Sir, run. So, sir, morning onwards, it was a really hectic session and very interesting. Now, I request all these stalwarts to summarize the session, and if any discussion, anything interesting, no, please we can discuss, and formally we'll some proceeding type thing will through IPSA, since our president is also here, Dr. Ranade, through IPSA will make some proceedings of this seminar and will submit it to the policy makers if possible. Yes, sir. Please.
I think there is no need of any introduction of all our colleagues sitting here on the dais. Dr. Ranade, all of you know, he's Dean Veterinary College, Mumbai, and also President of IPSA. Dr. Namsuba Reddy Garu, he's well known as a teacher. Maybe many students are sitting in front of us. And Dr. Kotaya Garu, he is industrialist, I should say, in Bro earlier. Now he's Rainbow Rooster and all that. He's the maker of all those things. Poultry industrialist. So thank you so much, sir, for joining in this plenary session. And since morning, we had 8 presentations in different aspects. So first presentation was by Sri KG Anand, GMVH Group Private Limited, Hyderabad. And he discussed on the topic that is poultry industry, current status, challenges and opportunities. And he has given what is going on and what was the past of the poultry sector of our country. And that was very nice presentation. Then Dr. P.S. Mahesh, he was sitting here. I don't know where. Yeah, he is here only. He's always, jovial in nature, and his presentation is always attractive. I have seen him in many places. So congratulations and compliment from my side. And he has discussed on human protein mission through poultry. So that is unique idea from him. And that was very good. Then poultry welfare and challenges from Dr. Ranade, President IPSA and Veterinary College, Mumbai, Dean. And that was also excellent because, poultry welfare aspect for the last maybe 8 years, and that has become a challenge now. After BIS, DADF has taken over, and he's also member of that committee in DADF, and Dr. Ramarao from our institute is also member. So finally, some settlement is there on welfare issues, and already DADF and BIS earlier, they have recommended some space that is 550 square centimeter. He has already discussed, and that was also a very good presentation, sir. And then precision feeding of poultry to reduce feed cost by Dr. Yusi Patel. He's here, yeah. So that was also a very good presentation. And all of us, we know that many places I tell in many forum that whatever our poultry birds they eat, even Joe Biden, Putin, or our Ambani, they don't eat that type of balanced ration. So that is the thing that poultry they're getting. Then current scenario of poultry disease prevention and control, Dr. M.M. Chawak. He was our earlier colleague from this institute only. And he has very rightly addressed the issues on poultry diseases, prevention and control. And then notifiable diseases, way forward, Mujeeb Akhtarji, probably second or third time, he has delivered lecture on this particular aspect, and he has dealt with different diseases, particularly ILT, LPAI, Microplasma, Synovial, and all that, and how we can tackle those diseases and what is happening in the country overall. So he has discussed on those aspects. Then branding and retail marketing of egg and meat, Sri Suresh Raidu Garu, he was here just, he has left. So from his point also, the issues he has raised on this aspect, and he has discussed how we can make double the consumption in our country. It is 91 at present, and if we can make it double by another 10 years or 7 years, so that would be great. I don't know whether it is going to happen or not. Then EC houses, our friend from Malaysia, I think, Sri Tommy Lim is here. Okay, fine. So that was also good presentation. EC house and what is the comfortable temperature, comfortable humidity, and what can happen in Hyderabad and in different parts of India, and how the EC house that can help for the growth and production of the poultry. So we have discussed very well. Before the concluding remarks, I request my colleagues sitting here, Dr. Ranadeji first.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nothing more to add about the program which was organized today, but I would like to express that this was a pleasant kind of a day. After almost 2 years of lockdown, everybody was stuck up. We were not in a position to have and organize any physical activity, no conferences, no seminars, everything was online. And this is the first program. In fact, we all are attending. I think I am attending for the first time after the lockdown period. And that felt very, very nice, very encouraging. And let's hope the same era will continue. That's point number one. Secondly, again, after I took over as president of Indian Poultry Science Association, this is the first program in the capacity of president I am attending. Of course, before that, we had one meeting in the last month. Mukund Kadam was present for that meeting. It was on 17th of April. And President of Veterinary Council of India, Vice President of Veterinary Council of India, as well as the Secretary. All three were invited at my institute, Mumbai Veterinary College, and we had a detailed discussion about the syllabus, modification of the syllabus, including poultry science as a separate subject and including poultry science as a separate department. We had very fruitful discussions on that, and that particular topic is being continuously followed, and we are very much hopeful that we will be having what we want, maybe in the present modification and corrections of the syllabus which is being done. Now, of course, this is only one member is present, but now we had a discussion in the morning about organizing the conference. Earlier, Dr. Mukund Kadam had said that he would volunteer, but now he is saying that he's not in the position to organize the conference of Indian Poultry Science Association. So maybe next week we'll have one EC meeting, and let's see if somebody else comes forward. And if they come forward, then maybe we can decide the tentative month and the date to have a conference for this year, and then any other activity, whatever we discuss. So this is just I wanted to share. I thank from my side to all the organizers, especially all the scientists of DPR, Dr. Ramarao, Chatterjee, Dr. Raju, everybody who have been important to organize this program. Really, thank you from the bottom of the heart, because you made us feel, yes, everything has started again. The routine offline things have started. So thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, you said,
No, it's not a branch as such. This is the chapter. This is AP and Telangana chapter. Likewise, there are a few more chapters as well. And as far as members are concerned, to the best of my knowledge, some 1,500 members are there. 2,000 only. Yeah, Dr. Panda is the right person to answer because he has conducted the election. So around 2,000 members are there. 2,000.
Okay. Apart from AP and Telangana chapters, how many chapters you have in the country? He'll be able to tell.
Karnataka, Kerala. Kerala is there for sure. Karnataka.
Some
of them are active, some of them are not active.
Where do you have its headquarters?
Headquarters is at Central Avian Research Institute, Izzatnagar, Bareilly. Yeah.
It's supported by government or the research institute?
It's the association of the teaching community who is involved in teaching poultry science in all the institutes, colleges, and central institutes of the country. Yeah, so everywhere. And the journal is published. That's one of the major activity. Journal is published.
So, good evening to all of you. So, nothing more to say beyond what has been told by Chatterjee Saab under Anade's hub. So thank you for all the presenters. They have presented exceedingly well. So we hope the same spirit would be continued in a more fruitful manner in future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Having come onto the dais, I would like to speak few words. So, I am in the poultry industry and I know the poultry industry situation. And poultry industry situation is not a better process. Not only poultry industry, animal industry in general is not going to be a better process. So the one thing is the feed prices are going to be high because the politicians want to increase the income of the farmer. They want to double the income of the farmer. That can be done only by raising the price of the ingredients, which are raising the price of the grains, which is a major ingredient for animal industry. So that is not going to come down, and feed prices are not going to come down. Well, we can do manipulations like Dr. Yusi Patel told and many nutritionists have told. Number two threat, second threat to the animal industry is going to be welfare. We may talk anything in the closed rooms, but the judiciary and the political friends are making laws. Now poultry above 5,000 birds unit is under pollution control board. You have to follow the norms of the pollution control board. You have to register your farm. And if you follow it strictly, it is not going to be easy to run a poultry farm. And the cages issue. The cage welfare people have, beyond the politicians and judiciary, they have reached the consumer. And companies like McDonald's have pledged that we want to serve only cage-free eggs. So things are changing and it is not going to be easy. And people want 3 times more space for the same number of birds. And it is not easy to maintain the biosecurity in open areas. They are all going to affect our country also. Then the disease problems like HPAI, it is going to be a problem. See, people who are busy with COVID. That's why they didn't bother about avian influenza. But the next threat is avian influenza. Let there be one human death, there will be a havoc in the country. So it is already America, a country like America is facing. It has got in 11 states have killed about 5 crore birds during last 5-6 months due to HPA. And it is not going to be an easy job. And they have to go for vaccination. Making vaccine is not that difficult for avian influenza, but they have delayed it because of the policy of OIE. They said, don't kill the birds, kill the healthy birds. So killing healthy birds is a major problem in a countries like America because they have got huge flocks. And we may kill the healthy birds because they belong to somebody and we can ask him to kill. But who will kill the free moving birds? Nobody can. So HPA is going to be a threat for the animal industry in general, and it is going to be maybe the next pandemic. We don't know. Then the next threat is the people want to change to vegetarianism. So they want to reduce the meat consumption due to some reason. Some people say there is blood, and people are going in for vegetable burgers, vegetarian burgers. They say they took soya genes, they took hemoglobin gene and introduced into soya, and it is a soya protein, vegetable protein, which gives the taste of meat. And they don't want to eat meat, but they want to eat the taste of the meat. And the last one, which is going to be a bigger threat to the animal industry, is lab grown meat. So it is very much in the plate, and people are doing it. The one difficulty with our animal industry people in general and poultry people in specific is we don't counteract anything. We accept things. We don't contribute. We don't collect funds. We don't counteract anything. If you follow the news, the cell protein companies, nobody is telling growing cells is growing cancer. It is like multiplying cancerous cells. Nobody is talking about it. On the other hand, the companies who are involved in animal production, like Tyson Foods, they're investing in those companies and promoting them. So we hope that the animal industry will survive, and we all will keep meeting and discussing the problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for discussing all the challenges that is being faced by the poultry industry. But we must be optimistic. We must be hopeful. And changes will be there. Changes will be there in science. There is so much of development in science that is going on. Actually, as you all know, that as has already been shown by our disease man, there are, avian influenza vaccine preparation is not a very, it's not very easy. So, but science is advancing. COVID, if you see the COVID, it was not so easy to develop the vaccine for COVID, but it has been developed within 3 months. Probably that was the first virus against whom the vaccine has been developed within 3 months or 6 months or maybe 9 months. So similarly, actually somehow this development of vaccine for the HPAI or LPI, that is not being noticed by the scientists all over the globe. As you have told rightly that once if it goes to one human being is being killed in our country, then it will be so much of hue and cry in the media that poultry industry will be affected like anything. But soon, definitely, scientists will come up with some vaccines, and there are so many combinations of H and N, different types of H and N receptors, whatever it is there. And the main thing is that the ILT that has already been recognized by the government of India, and vaccine is already available in the market. So there is no problem. That has become official now. And LPI is also going to be official, and LPI vaccine has also been developed by one of our ICAR institute that is known as NISAD, that is located in Bhopal. But LPI, as you know, that there are so many different kinds of strain combination, maybe LPI, maybe HPAI. So, so how to develop vaccine for the HPI and how to monitor, that is the main problem. If we say give for A and B type H and say H1, N1 or whatever, different combinations of H and N receptors. So the monitoring of the disease in different particular location, that is the problem for all of us. So avian influenza, once the vaccine is developed, maybe by genome editing, say in our institute, we are doing experiment on genome editing, and we have already 2 different type of native breeds. We have done the genome editing for 2 different genes, that is inhibin, and another one is what is that? Prolactin. So in 2 different native birds, and we have seen in a single generation that is 60% increase in the egg production in the native birds. So that is remarkable. So this particular genome, and you know that recently genome editing, GM crop is a problem in our country because that has not yet been accepted by the government or by the public. But genome editing, that is accepted. So similarly, if that genome editing technology, if you can use for the development of the vaccine, maybe I do not know our colleagues from biotechnology, they can tell better. So maybe that next 5 years, 7 years, that problem will also will be solved. The LPI or HPI, whatever it is there. Then regarding laboratory made, sir, whatever you are telling, that much of production of that laboratory meat in the world, and to meet the demand of the meat consumption throughout the world is a challenge for the lab-grown meat. And lab-grown meat, again, there will be problem in our country. So people will not accept. So chicken, I think, as I have told initially, that I am optimistic and hopeful, and I always see positive side Lab grown meat also, that will be solved automatically. We need not to bother about that. Only thing is that we have to create awareness among the people. You know, a few days back, I have seen that doctor is prescribing to a typically vegetarian, say pregnant woman, that you have to take chicken, and that is for your baby, for your fetus, for the growth of the fetus properly. So they are under compulsion, they have to take. So all these things are happening. At present, it is probably 71% non-vegetarian population is there, and Telangana is number 1, 97% or something like that. So the non-vegetarian population also will increase. I think Dr. Mahesh or somebody, that in medical MBBS, no nutrition subject is not there. They do not know that there are certain essential amino acids. We all veterinarians will know, and we have read. And Dr. Ranade, Dr. Ramara, they are from nutrition. We have read in BVSC that there are 10 essential amino acids, HILMAP, TTV, all of you know, histidine, isoleucine, lysine, leucine, and so on, so forth. So these are essential. Whatever pulses you take, no problem. But these essential amino acids, that is required. Particularly lysine and methionine, tryptophan, these are required like in poultry. So human being also, these are required for the development of the child, for the development of the fetus, for the development of the brain, and whatever it is there. Dr. Mahesh Babu, Dr. Mahesh, many times I tell him as Mahesh Babu, but he is not Mahesh Babu. He is PS Mahesh. So he has shown in some slide. I was going through that. How many positive things are there in egg, and in chicken also, you know. So these things are all positive things are there, and we must be optimistic. We should not leave hope on any aspect, and it will grow further. Dr. Ranjit Reddy Garu has in the morning, he has raised many issues. Particularly government sector has to come up. That's why I have told initially in the morning session that we have to tell that it is poultry revolution. No such revolution has happened in any country like poultry. It is 65 times growth in egg production. Nowhere, no agricultural commodities, that type of things has happened, that type of growth has happened. Once you tell it as poultry, how this agriculture that has come up, how that has been focused, because white revolution, milk revolution, white revolution, green revolution, blue revolution, pulse revolution. What is the pulse means? How much time it has grown? Hardly 1.5 or 2 times in the last 4 or 5. It is 23 million metric ton now, the total pulse production in our country. But we never. I have told many times to our past Minister Giriraj Singh Ji. He also came here. I sat with him many times in his chamber or in the Krishi Bhavan, and I have tried to influence that this is the poultry revolution. And in the livestock and poultry sector and fisheries sector, if you include the fisheries sector contribution totality, it will be hardly 1.5 to 2 lakh crore, and poultry alone is giving 1.5 lakh crore to our GDP. So we have to focus it. Fisheries has become focused. How? Because around 40,000 crores export is we are getting from the fisheries sector. Buffalo meat sector, we are getting 26,000 crores. Export from poultry, how much we are getting? Hardly 700, 800 crores rupees export. And I was also telling in the morning to Reddy Garu that export definitely we have to give emphasis. And there is a proper channel. And this, I do not know anybody is there from the state government. Dr. Kotay Garu, I have heard that he is also interested to go for the compartmentalization. Zoning is difficult, but compartmentalization of the farm it is there, and there is a committee. I am the chairman of that committee for the South Zone. So, but that form has to be filled up, and that has to go through state government to the FASD. So, why not we are looking on all those issues, particularly because our honorable Prime Minister, he was telling someday, I was listening, that probably in Germany or somewhere in the Europe visit, recent Europe visit, he was telling that earlier 6-7 years back, the agricultural export was 1 lakh crore. Now it is 2.5 lakh crore. It is 50 billion now. So you just see, so he is giving emphasis on what he was talking about. Khadi export. Khadi export, it is around 100, say 1 billion something crores rupees. So that is getting the export. So export, he is giving emphasis on export. So if we can, and even in different forum also, we are listening that why the poultry sector, it's such a, organized sector now, or maybe last 2-3 decades, it's an organized sector. Why you are not giving emphasis on the export? All the issues will be solved. So soybean at present, it is almost 3 times higher than the 5 years back. 5 years back, we used to get soybean by maybe 30 rupees or 35 rupees, something like that. So cost of production has been increased automatically. So if we focus some of the things, and if we can convince, that's what I was also requesting our Honorable MP, Dr. Ranjit Reddy Garu. He is in the helm of affairs. So if we can convince, because Dr. Balan is there being a veterinarian, so somehow he is convinced with the poultry sector. Many people are telling, you have to tell many times, then only the goat can be, if you tell it is fox, it is not goat. So if 5 people will tell it is fox, then that will be fox, the goat will be fox. So similarly, we have to convince again and again in every forum, we have to tell that, yes, this is the importance of the poultry sector. We have to give emphasis on poultry sector. We have to say if soybean is to be imported, we have to import. Soybean production, total soybean production in our country is 13.5 million metric ton. 32 million metric ton the maize production. 16 is required for the our poultry sector, and maybe 6 million metric ton is required. Soybean is required. I do not know. You may be knowing. I am not a nutrition expert, so that is required. But because we have convinced, the industry has convinced the minister, so few lakh tons of soybean that has been imported, and soybean cost has been reduced. So in that way, we must be hopeful. We must be optimistic. हम लोग को ये नहीं करना चाहिए, छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए, हम लोग को लगे रहना चाहिए. महेश जी, लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई. So and I am very much happy, rather most happy, and I thank all the organizers sitting in front of me, Dr. Raju, Dr. Rajkumar, Dr. Ramarao, Dr. Bhattacharya, all the committees of the DPR, as well as other members of AP and Telangana chapter. And I convey my sincere thanks to all the esteemed speakers, as has been mentioned by Dr. Raju in the morning, that I was worried actually whether you people will come or not. Dr. Rana Day is also busy, Dr. Moyes also busy, Dr. Chowk is also busy, Dr. Mujeeb, of course, he is here, he will come. So, but whatsoever, he has also come from Malaysia, all the way from Malaysia. So immediately we have agreed, and we could organize this type of, this seminar. And that is a great thing after 2 years. Last seminar was probably in Durg. You also attended, I also attended. So thereafter, there was no seminar, physical seminar. So many webinar has its own problems, but physical seminar is required. So, whatever way we are discussing, so those things will not be there in the webinar. You will get hardly 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 5 minutes. So that is not sufficient. And I hope our president, IPSA, Dr. Rana Deji, is going to take the decision where he is going to finalize where the poultry conference. You make it international, sir. Always we say it is Indian poultry 37th or 33rd or 30, whatever. It is that annual conference of IPSA. And that some tag should be there. It is international conference. So the students and the assistant professor, associate professor, I do not know, somebody, they are also present there. They will also get some encouragement. They will get some advantage. Dr. Ranada, you are Dean Veterinary College, you know very well. Sir also knows very well. If you make it international, they will get some advantage. And that is a mark in this scorecard. So make it international. And today I think it is a little bit international, I can say. And from Telangana and AP chapter, this is the probably the biggest seminar you have arranged, all my colleagues. I have organized this seminar. And lastly, I thank my sincere thanks to all of you, each one of you. Dr. Rajkumar, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our director to present a memento to Kota, sir. Sir has come all the way from morning, he was here. Now I request Dr. Ranade, President IPSA, to present a memento to our director. Sir, आप तो sir. So I think we have just closed the meeting in as per schedule. शायद तो नहीं है सर, अभी घर जाएगा, घर में पिए. So I, since already sir has thanked everybody, on my side I thank each and every, especially speakers and my colleagues from the different ICAR institutes, colleagues from industry, colleagues from university and students. Thank you very much. Thank you one and all. Thank you. Sir, 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. We'll close with national anthem. Madhu, national anthem play karo.
Jana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Uttara Vanga Vindhya Himachal Yamuna Ganga Uchala Jaladhi Taranga तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.